Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I am here today in my own home.
Yay!
With Maria and Eric.
We are here. I'm so excited to be here with you all. Much like Julian, I'm so happy to be part of this threesome.
Oh,
Actually, he was in a foursome.
he was in a foursome.
Okay, let's relax,
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, that was so weird, actually, this week.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Wait till we get to that part.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be traumatized because I'm still traumatized.
Yeah.
So weird.
I
It-
can't.
It was just odd. I
That-
was like,
it was-
what is happening? But you know what?
Passions
It's
love to push the envelope, and that
Yeah.
they pushed it right off the table.
Yeah.
it's par for the course of Passions, though, right? Like
agree.
that's yeah. So we'll get to the Munchkin foursome in just a moment.
But yeah, I totally derailed the whole fact that we are here with you. Thank you
In
for having us.
person.
I know.
Recording.
We've been having a good time.
Yes.
We went to karaoke last night. We went to see Death Becomes Her yesterday.
Yeah, it was
Siempre
great.
vivas.
So good.
Yeah.
Everybody had a
We
fantastic
had a great time.
We had so fun. It was the three of us and Lisa S from New Jersey, and
Yes.
Karen flew up from Atlanta.
Atlanta.
And we all celebrated my birthday, which was really nice. So I appreciate it. I had a wonderful time.
It was great.
I am hungover today. I only came to life about 45 to 55 minutes ago.
And that's fine. that is fine.
That
So-
is fine. We also got to hang out with one of the legacy hosts.
That's true.
Laura.
Yeah, y'all got to hang out with Laura.
She was so great.
Everybody loves Laura so much.
Not as
Everybody's
much
like,
as
"Where's
we
Laura?"
Like Latara, okay.
Yeah, I might have thrown in a couple Lisas in there, Laura. I'm sorry,
Oh
but
my
there's
God.
just so many
No,
Lisas.
it was so funny that when Maria came into the room and Laura and I were already in the karaoke room, Maria came in. She had already had a few drinks.
Just a few.
And she came in and just yelled, "Lisa!" at Laura. And I correct. I was like, oh my God, that is so funny. But Laura is a good sport.
Yeah.
She took it in stride
That's
and
great.
was like,
Yeah,
oh no.
that was a little embarrassing, being that it wasn't the first time I've met her.
Yeah, that's
She
true.
was at my birthday party.
That's
That's
funny.
true. So we're going to get into the episode, but before we do, we're going to give a shout out to all the patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Brie Lynn, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Hannah, Camellia, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria,
Yay.
Lisa, Jessica Jean, Laura, Karen, Uche, Paige, Casey, Garrinch, Tom Bergeron, Pablo, Daisy, Shane, Kelly, Taylor Harris Crane, and DJ. Thank you all so much for continuing to be patrons. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all on an episode or a watch party coming up here soon.
Yeah, if you pay the right amount, you get to experience this live. No, I'm just joking. I'm not making any offers.
No, that's true, actually.
But if you do join the Patreon, you get to be part of the Discord and enjoy
Yes.
all the fun, all the watch parties. And, we might actually do an annual Passions Patreon get-together.
That
So-
did come up last night, and I was like, I'm totally into let's getting together and doing like an annual like Patreon Passions cool friends get together.
Yes.
We also discussed doing like a murder mystery party for you, Maria, a Passions themed
yeah.
murder
We
mystery
do.
party.
We do.
So we have to think about that. So these are things that might be coming up, y'all. I don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know.
And I would look forward to doing that.
That'd be great.
Celebrating my birthday with you guys would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Either way, whatever you decide, let me know. All right. So enough about that. It's time to talk about these episodes, y'all. Good Lord. So we watched episodes 756 through 760, yes?
That is
Yes.
correct.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure that we all watch the same episodes. So we didn't talk about it before we started, but I think we should start with the Theresa stuff because there's so much of it.
There is a lot.
There's a lot.
So I think we should start with the Theresa stuff, do the magic stuff, and finish in Bermuda with those people over there.
Sounds good to me.
Sound good? I have one like troubled marriage note, but it's nothing. We can like scoop it in with
Yeah.
Theresa, honestly.
Okay.
All right. So let's get it. It is weird. I usually have like the Zoom up and my notes up at the same time. So it is also weird that I can't see myself because I'm doing this a different way.
We all can't see ourselves, but I'm hoping we look fantastic.
You
Exactly.
do.
We're
You look
trusting her.
fantastic. You do. I feel like I always make y'all look pretty good. I try to. It's not hard to make you look good though. Y'all are
Oh, that's sweet to
good looking
say.
people.
She knows the angles. She
Yeah.
knows how to work the angles. It's
I'm
all about the
feeling
angles.
my Rebecca-ness right now, looking into the camera. Yeah.
Where is it? It's over here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is.
Oh, look at that. Live and in
Yay.
person.
All right, now I can
The
see
glory
everything.
of the soundboard.
That's good.
Oh.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Back to Theresa. Bless Theresa's little heart. We pick up this week, and Theresa's still in the cabin, ready to give birth, right?
Yeah.
So the people at the hospital are trying to figure out how to get to them because remember last week Ivy did tell Sam and Luis where Theresa and Ethan, that's his name, where Theresa and Ethan were. Much to Rebecca's chagrin, which she brings up multiple times this
Oh my
week. Like
gosh.
if you had just kept your mouth shut, right? So Sam and Luis are wanting to get to the cabin, but the state police or whatever have come in and figured out that Theresa has escaped and that they know where she is, so they won't let them through.
Yeah.
And this was so ridiculous. Hank shows up randomly.
Random.
So random.
He wasn't there before. He's there now.
But what I found ridiculous was they're trying to stop Sam and Luis from going to his sister and to Ethan. Like literally, like you guys can't go anywhere because you're aided a fugitive. Hank just shows up like he's somebody saying, you let these men, who are you?
Yeah.
And it's like Sam's the chief of police. If they're not going to listen to Sam, why would they listen to you?
Exactly.
That's so true.
You know what? They just listen to any adjacent Bennett, be it Hank or Kay. That's what we do.
Isn't he like a formal criminal turned informant?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Yes, he
And the
was on like
cops-
the FBI's most wanted list.
But they're gonna listen to him, like who's not even in law enforcement. Like you let these guys go. Who are you?
Who the hell are you, sir? Please get the
You're
hell out
not
of here.
even the law.
You're not even the law. No, Timmy's the law. If y'all can see Timmy, he's got the
Yay.
sheriff's badge now.
Yay.
Timmy's the law. No, so these people in the hospital are struggling with the police, the other police. The police are struggling with the police.
Yes.
And, like truly. And there's like a scuffle. TC is there as well, and he like trips one of them. They're like doing a runaround, and it was all a mess. But eventually, Sam and Luis make their Scooby-Doo exit, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
do,
Yeah,
and run off.
they tried to give Hank and TC some like bravery moment or like kind of just like a cool moment where TC trips one of the people.
Yeah,
and Eve's
TC
like, "Thank you, TC. You're welcome, baby."
Yeah, TC tripped one of the officers, and then he like held him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Hank and TC get arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
they get arrested. But they help Luis and Sam escape, which is the most important thing. And Luis, Sam, and Eve all get to a chopper.
Yeah, it was like Passion's budget.
Well, it's not the first time we've seen Sam and Luis in a helicopter.
Yeah.
That
I
was
didn't know that they can operate one. I mean,
Yeah,
these are
Sam
men that
can.
are quite talented.
Yeah.
it's Sam. Sam can fly a helicopter.
He can build
Oh, wow.
homes. He can fly
can
helicopters.
do it all.
He's
can
a
do it
man.
all.
And he
A
can
real man.
And he can glisten while he does it.
Yes, and he
yeah.
looks excellent doing it
Yes,
all.
he does. Yes, he does.
So yeah, Sam and Luis and Eve get in the helicopter. They head up to the Crane Mansion, not the Crane Mansion, the Crane Cabin. They head up to the Crane Cabin, and then going back. So they leave. Pilar, still at the hospital, finds out that Ivy knew where Theresa and Ethan were the entire time.
Do you have
And-
the quote? Because I have the quote.
good.
she says, if anything happens to Theresa or her baby, Ivy I wrote Ivy, but if anything happens to Theresa or her baby, you will be riding in a hearse, not a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yep.
I said, okay, girl. I mean, it's a threat. We'll see if she would follow through when it comes to Ivy. Because here's my thing. Pilar has no qualms about smacking the shit out of Rebecca, right?
Yeah.
We've seen her smack Rebecca so many times at this point. She never, ever has slapped Ivy.
Yeah.
And Ivy needs a good slap.
Yes, I agree.
Arguably more than Rebecca sometimes,
Yeah.
considering the fact that we had a relationship and you are trying to ruin my daughter's life. Right? Like I don't know.
Well, and the Pilar thing is weird too, because not only does she specifically tell Ivy that, but she also at one point thanked Ivy in these
my
episodes,
God.
which I got mad at her for doing that. I was like, what are you doing?
Me
Yeah.
too. It
Yeah.
pissed me off.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to that because
Okay.
my next note is about the cabin and where Theresa is in active labor. And Gwen is like, I need to examine Theresa to see how far along she is. And Teresa's like, no.
Yeah.
No. And I get it. I get the trepidation. Like, I don't want you down there, like looking inside me. But eventually she's like, yeah, sure, go for it.
I mean,
And
yeah.
Gwen's like, oh my God, the baby's coming right now.
I have to wonder how I am impressed that Gwen is able to do this, because that's your sworn enemy, and now you are looking at her. Like, it's just so
Well,
like,
have you ever you've never been in a delivery room?
no.
Okay. There's truly absolutely nothing sexual about it at
No,
all.
I understand. That's not what I was
And
going with.
then-
I'm just saying, like, that's your sworn enemy, and you're like,
It
you-
is a
yeah.
crazy experience.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
you've been in a
Well,
delivery
I was-
room. I know
yeah.
you've given birth,
Yeah.
but have you
Yeah, I
watched
was
somebody
actually
give?
there twice.
Have you watched somebody give birth? Like, have you watched the experience,
The like with a mirror or anything? No.
or like watched somebody else give birth?
No, I've never seen anyone else.
So
I've just
I've watched 3 births. Okay. And it's just it is a crazy experience.
It's
and
a crazy experience, yeah.
It is very like nothing else really matters. You don't even think about like that's
Yeah.
a vagina. That's a thing.
No.
It really is like life is coming into the world, and
No.
it's insane. And so I think too, on a human level with Gwen, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my enemy, but this is a baby.
Yes, and we have
And
made it very
2,
clear how important babies are
and
in the world
2,
of harmony.
Gwen has been very clear about not necessarily wanting Theresa
Yeah.
to be dead or
No.
die.
Exactly.
So she also cares to a certain extent about Teresa's humanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I was just more commenting on the fact that it's like a weird circumstance that I don't think
It-
Gwen
the whole
ever
thing
thought she
is
would have
weird.
to, you know.
Yeah, I don't
like,
think she ever wanted to ever
Yeah,
see
she-
that.
you know,
No, she
From-
didn't want to be in this position whatsoever.
like from going
whatsoever.
to letting this girl plan your wedding to
Oh my
this. Like,
God.
it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. That's what I
It
was
is crazy.
remarking about a little bit more than anything else. But yeah, she departmentalizes and just says
Yeah,
that
it's
she's
like
like,
you-
we got to get this done.
you jump into that mode
Yeah, and I
of
think
like
that was impressive.
this.
Oh no, and
life
there's
or
a
death.
conversation that they have because even Ethan's very impressed by her
Yeah.
being the fact that she just went psychotic on them and
Yes.
stabbed them. And
Yeah.
I have
Go for it.
because
Put
She
your
brought
glasses on.
I have to put my glasses to read this because it's the
Receipts.
script. So Ethan's like, Gwen, thank you for sticking with me. Gwen says, well, it's not like I can sit here and watch TV while Teresa's
That was-
screaming her head off over there. He's like, I know. Considering Theresa went psycho and stabbed us both. She's like, yeah, well, he's like, you have no idea how much it means to me that you're willing to help her through this. And she's like, I know. And I'm going to be honest, Ethan, there's no love lost between me and Theresa, but I can't help if an innocent baby has a lying, self-serving mother. I have to deliver this baby and I have to keep her alive while I do it. And Ethan then pulls her in and says, Gwen, I love you for being you.
Oh, okay.
And Gwen turns to him and says, I love you too.
Oh, sweet.
Meanwhile, Teresa's,
Yeah, Teresa's in there screaming her head off. She's going through it. And but they deliver her baby.
They did.
There's nothing more to talk about in that portion of it. They deliver the baby.
They
The
deliver
baby is delivered.
We are now introduced to little Ethan.
Yeah, though they haven't named
They
him
haven't
yet.
named
They
him
haven't
yet.
named him
Sorry.
yet.
He does get his
Sorry.
name.
They haven't named him yet.
Spoilers.
So she has the baby, And very quick, like at first she seems fine. She's like, well, I guess Dr. Russell was wrong about my preeclampsia. And then she immediately passes out.
Yes.
She passes out. The baby seems to be fine, but then
Later.
the baby stops breathing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Louise, Sam, and Eve get there just in time, like right after her giving birth. And Eve, it was funny to me that Eve brought Theresa back with like smelling salts. She like put them under her nose.
Yeah, and then she brought her back, and then she was like, "Here, honey, take this."
Do you need a sedative or something to quiet your nerves?
Do you want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves?
You know, I'm gonna try and prompt that as much as
As many
possible
times as
while
you
I'm
want.
here.
It's
Yeah.
so funny.
I mean, I do it
Teresa's
anyways.
Passed
but-
out. I don't think
yeah.
she needs any more.
Yeah, she doesn't.
I think Gwen needed a sedative.
Gwen
Possibly.
could have used the sedative
Yeah.
for sure.
Or she
And
thought
Ethan
she-
too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Ethan
they
too.
both
They both
went
could have
through
used
hell. Yeah.
used a sedative.
I mean, getting stabbed too, and then being like, "Let's focus."
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It is crazy. I would have left her there. I'm not lying. If she stabbed me in the back, no, she got stabbed. I would have gone to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like if you, it's fine if you don't want to take your ass to the hospital, but I'm going to the hospital. You
Yeah.
stabbed me like
You
2 or
don't
3
know.
times in my back.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
know
with some rusty ass scissors.
Exactly.
At the very least, I need to go get a
Yeah.
tetanus shot.
Yeah. You don't know what damage that's done. I mean, you could still be, yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So
But yes, Dr. Eve Russell, I gotta say, Dr. Eve Russell doctors a lot in these episodes.
Yeah, she does.
Like,
She
does
is-
stuff.
she doctors a
Like
lot.
she took a lot of minors
Yeah.
because she does everything.
Yeah.
Babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got a specialty in everything.
Oh,
They
yeah.
talked about that last week. I made a joke about it on the show. Rebecca talked about how Eve is a specialist in absolutely everything. She named everything, and it was so funny.
Yeah.
So Eve, Sam, Louise, they get there. Eve brings Theresa back around with the smelling salts, and then the baby stops breathing, and Eve says, "Oh, he's in respiratory distress. He has respiratory distress syndrome." But she is able to stabilize him for now. But she's like, "But we need to get them both to a hospital ASAP, right?"
Oh, and there was a point that we forgot to mention, which I think is really important because it's going to come up a lot later in these episodes, is when Theresa gave birth before she passed out, Ethan had to encourage her to even look at the baby because she was still feeling
Yes, that's important.
as if she
That is
didn't
important.
care for the baby at all. She was still disassociating herself from the pregnancy. I mean, we kind of saw that when she was pregnant, trying to run off on Ethan, no real concern about the baby because she never bonded with
Yeah.
the baby. And it wasn't until Ethan presented the baby to her that she finally got it. This is her child. This is her baby.
Yeah, she didn't want to look at him at
Yeah.
first. That was definitely clear. So thank you for bringing that back up. I
Yeah,
didn't.
no, it's important because later on, obviously,
Yeah.
it's going to come up.
And she holds the baby, and you can see the change in her. You saw the shift in her. It was, they didn't make a big deal about it, but
Yeah.
you could see it. So
could
thank
see
you.
it. Sure.
So,
See,
yes.
me looking out for Theresa. It's not always hate. Okay,
There
people?
you go. Good.
Thank
And they talk
you.
a lot about it more when we get to the hospital too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. Where are we? State police show up because they were truly right behind them. So the state police show up with their guns drawn immediately. Like they get to the
Yeah.
house and they just have the guns out and ready to shoot whoever
Yeah.
comes out of the house. Everybody comes out of the house. They are met by the state police, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't realize they were out there, so it was a surprise to them. And we do this whole negotiating thing with them. These state police are ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? Like they were being so ridiculous. Well, we have orders to take the felon to prison. It's like she literally just had a baby, and they're like, well, she can go to the state hospital in the prison, and like the baby's in distress, the baby's dying. Like you at least have to let us
that's
through with the
thing.
baby.
And there's a
Yes.
doctor telling you this. It's not like there's some there's just a parent or a brother or anything else like that. It is specifically a doctor being like, she could die.
a doctor.
Both of them could die.
Yeah,
Yes.
a doctor who's telling you they could die, who has a helicopter, can airlift them very quickly to the hospital, right?
I mean, they're not wrong that she has to be in custody, but she
Yeah.
needs to receive medical attention.
Right.
And she can do that in custody.
yeah. That's what she was doing before.
Yeah.
She escaped.
I mean, she did escape. So maybe that's where they're worried.
So, They argue back and forth with these state police for a while. Theresa passes out again. Ethan has to like scoop her up.
Yeah.
Eve kind of lays down the law with them and is like, listen, you have got to, let me find my note. Okay. Eve lays down the law and says, you've got to let us get to this helicopter. But at first the cops won't let them pass, saying like they have orders. We have orders. And Sam's like, let me see your orders. Were they signed by the governor? So they hand him a piece of paper. I don't know. And then they're like, yeah, she's an escaped felon. And this was crazy. Sam says to these cops, oh, they didn't escape. She didn't escape. And Ethan didn't help her escape because the cops were like, and you, Ethan, you better shut up because you matched the description of the person who helped her escape.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, there was no escape. The escape didn't happen.
Yeah.
The escape doesn't exist. And that he gaslit these fucking police officers. It was like the escape didn't happen. And it didn't make any sense. He was like,
I don't know how he rewrote history. Him and Eve like just lied. And right?
It didn't make any sense.
No
He was
sense.
like, there was no escape. I gave Ethan permission. You don't have jurisdiction. I gave Ethan permission to bring Theresa up to the cabin so that she could to prevent premature birth. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things. Teresa's full term.
Yeah.
She's not in premature labor. So you're not preventing premature birth, right? You're not doing that. Mm-hmm. Second thing is, why would Ethan be the person you send with the convict?
Exactly.
Wouldn't it be another police officer?
Yeah.
Ethan's just an unemployed lawyer.
Yeah.
And a medical professional.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking in the terms of like you said, her being in custody.
Yes.
You would send her with a cop, right? A guard. And a medical professional. But Eve pops in and is like, yeah, that's true. I said that she needed peace and quiet, and the hospital was just way too stressful with all those cops hanging around. It's like she's a convicted felon. Yes, we know she was railroaded, but she's a convicted felon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
I don't, it just, again, for me, I felt like Kathy Bates in Misery. I was like, he didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car.
I'm so sorry. So
I left off on cock-a-doodle car, which is a random reference now. Weird to connect back to. But I was saying there's a part in Misery where Kathy Bates is like, this didn't happen.
Yeah.
He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. They tricked us. And that's kind of how I felt about Eve and Sam just like lying about them. Ethan should be in trouble. Ethan should be in trouble.
Ethan should absolutely be in trouble.
He's the son of the chief of
Privilege.
police. So here
There's
we
a lot of
go with
privilege there.
privilege, the corrupt
Yeah.
justice system,
Corrupt
the
cops.
corrupt cops. Harmony. If you don't know anyone, you don't get nowhere.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true.
Nepotism.
Very much so.
So, they make up this whole cockamamie story about how he gave Ethan permission to take Theresa up there. So technically there was no escape because it's like, well, or are you telling me that you aided and abetted the escape?
Yeah.
Chief of police?
Thank you.
Because that's what it actually sounds like. But Eve corroborates, saying like she needed the peace and quiet, whatever. It was so stupid. It's too stressful at the hospital. So she needed to come up here to this cabin, this remote cabin.
How nice.
I know.
Like, that's a nice, imagine if that actually happened. Like, you're in the hospital and they're like, you really need to go on a spa day.
No, I would love it if they were like, you know what you really need is a beach vacation, and
Yeah.
we're prescribing it for you.
Oh,
and your
see.
insurance is going to come.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
wow.
80%,
Yes.
up to 80%. You gotta only have to pay your little 20% copay.
That is the biggest fantasy since the last fantasy of Theresa and Ethan and Gwen
good
singing and
Lord.
dancing together.
Oh,
I didn't
that
get to
was so
see that, but I saw it before we recorded, so I was
we're
happy
really
to see
sad
that.
that we missed that episode. We would have loved
But
to.
see, we snuck it in there.
we
Yeah.
snuck it in there.
I almost thought that this episode was gonna start with that again.
Yeah.
I thought
it
so
seemed
too.
like it was gonna happen again.
Because why
should
waste
have,
it? Yeah,
right?
I'm and just
Yeah.
like, you always want to, if somebody missed a day,
Yeah.
it's a funny clip
Do it
to
again.
show. Yeah.
So at this point, again, everybody's just kind of being held hostage by these cops who
Yeah.
have their guns on them. And Gwen is holding the baby. She's like, there's something wrong with the baby. So then Eve goes and checks the baby. She's like, this baby needs a respirator because he's in shock.
Yeah.
The baby's in shock. He needs a respirator. And this is when she very forcefully says to these cops,
Yep.
do you want this baby's death and the death of this woman on your hands? And they decide to let them leave. Because they're
As
like,
they
the baby's going to
should.
die
The
if you don't let us
baby
go.
isn't in custody. They should
Yeah.
have allowed that baby to leave immediately. They could have said everyone can go, she stays.
Well,
And
that
he
could have
stays.
been
And that's it. Because Gwen also has a wound that needs to be attended to
Yes.
as well.
That's true.
It was crazy too because the cops, they were like, okay, I'll let you pass, but we're going to be following behind you. Yeah, duh.
But
We
Ethan-
we
He should.
expected
Yeah.
that.
Ethan got stabbed too, right?
In his arm,
Okay,
yeah.
his
in his
arm.
arm. Got it.
Yeah. So meanwhile, let's talk about what's going on at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, at the hospital, Pilar very annoyingly thanks Ivy. I was so
That was- it
annoyed.
didn't
I was like,
make
what are
any
we doing?
sense.
This is so lame and unnecessary. She very annoyingly thanks Ivy for telling Sam where Ethan and Theresa are. And Ivy very pointedly says to her, I didn't do it for Theresa. I did it for my son.
Slap her right then and there.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Again, I don't condone that in real life, but in the passions world,
Yeah.
Tabitha, Tabitha, go slap Ivy.
I'm sure Tabitha would have loved to slap Ivy.
Yeah. But Pilar, like in this world, like I don't know. We talked about it off camera, but we definitely were like, how come Pilar has not slapped Ivy yet? And
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. It feels kind of warranted.
And I want to say that it isn't because she's in a wheelchair, because I believe Rebecca has slapped her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not that we're trying to,
No.
let's not slap someone that's in a wheelchair.
No.
They're already down. Don't kick them. But if Rebecca could do it, Pilar, slap her.
Yeah. And sure, she's in a wheelchair, but she's being fucking evil.
Yeah. Like,
Right? Like she's doing a lot. She's doing more damage from that wheelchair than she ever did when she was upright, standing,
Also
walking
true.
around.
Also true.
Right? So
Right?
if she needs a slap, it's now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, to not care about, I get it. She doesn't care about Theresa. Fine. But to say it, one, to her own mother, and two, also not to seem like you care about the baby.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
a baby.
Yeah.
An
It's
innocent
sick.
baby. Yes, it's your ex-husband's baby.
Yeah.
But she and Rebecca were talking about pushing Theresa down the stairs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not like this is new, they were talking about they were contemplating killing Theresa and the baby,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Sure.
And then they came up with this idea, and so the baby's not gonna die. But the thing about the baby was they were like, if there's no baby, Teresa's not so.
Yeah, because then it gets a little muddy too, because Rebecca and Gwen have a conversation at one point, and Rebecca's like, I do kind of feel bad about the baby. She's like, I don't want the baby to die. So
Yeah.
like Rebecca said that, and I was like, well, you were gonna kill it
Yeah.
like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, like she noticed, Rebecca does notice that Gwen is stabbed, and she says, she was like, and she's happy that Teresa's gonna die. And Gwen tells her, she's like, I don't care how crazy Theresa is. Please let that baby be okay
Yeah.
Yeah, then when they finally got to the hospital.
when they're at the hospital.
Yeah.
So Pilar is
Yes.
is annoying
Yeah.
and is not apologizing, thanking Ivy
Yeah.
for doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And Ivy's like, I didn't do it for Theresa. I did it for my son.
Yeah.
Theresa has caused nothing but trouble and heartache and pain for my son, and she's still doing it. Oh, girl, you shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Your son did this of his own volition.
Also,
He chose to do this.
I will reiterate this again. She knows Theresa didn't kill anybody and is taking the blame for my son, your son. Like, what? Come on. It's ridiculous.
It is completely ridiculous. But she doesn't see, and we have talked about this before, but Ivy does not see her part in anything.
No.
She does not see her part in anything. She thinks every single thing she does is completely warranted and completely justifiable. Yes. Every single thing, she has a reason for why she did it. And to her, in her little crazy brain, because look, I've made the comparison between Ivy and Theresa so many times at this point, and it's so glaring. It just becomes more and more glaring as the show goes on how similar these two women actually are. Because Theresa does a very similar thing. A lot of times she frames it as like fate, but it's the same concept.
Yeah.
Right? Like justifying these things that like aren't really all that justifiable.
Nope.
But because it suits her
Purpose.
She's like, oh,
It's
no,
fate.
it's fine. It's fate. It's whatever. Yeah.
It's
I don't know
fate.
why that
It's
light.
fate.
It's fate.
I don't
It's
know why
fate.
that light keeps doing that. That's so weird.
Maybe it's better.
honestly, you know what it is? Some of these bulbs have been in here since I moved in, and they probably were here before I moved in.
Is
It's
today
probably
the first time
it's probably
that's happening?
dying. Yeah, it's probably dying.
I have a lot of special things happening.
I immediately started
I did-
after what you just revealed to us today. I'm like,
I will say this.
okay,
I believe in signs, and when I did not get to say this earlier, and you can keep this in here. I don't care about it. But when I got off the subway station, I saw a penny and a dime on the floor. And my mom is always like, pennies from heaven. We always think about pennies from heaven, or like if you look, So a long time ago, I said, if you're gonna give me a sign, if somebody's gonna give me a sign, it should be a dime, because of Scrooge McDuck. He has a lucky dime, right? I see dimes all the time now. And today I saw a dime and a penny. And so it was just like, after what happened this morning, I'm like, that's crazy. Anyway, you don't need to know the whole story, but it was just a cute thing, listeners. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
With that said, it was a sign.
It's fate.
Fate can only take you so far, and both Ivy and Theresa do that all the time. They justify their actions because fate is going to do this, but then they are like, yeah, but I'm going to grease the wheel as well. So that's where we were at.
Yeah. So, Ivy calls Theresa poison. She's like, this girl, Ethan could lose everything because of her. Pilar responds to her by saying, and I thought this was lame. I'm sorry. Ivy's like going so in on your daughter. And I guess the way me and my family are set up, we can say the shit.
Yeah.
You can't say
That's
it.
the thing.
Yes.
Yes, you don't talk. I can complain all I want to, but about my people. You speak about my people and you say exactly what I just said, you're in trouble.
So then when Pilar's like, I know my daughter has made lots of mistakes, I would have been like, no. I'm standing 10 toes down behind Theresa. Like,
Yeah.
what did you do to my daughter?
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Yes,
that.
exactly.
But she's like, I know that my daughter has made a lot of mistakes, but everything she did because she loves Ethan.
Yeah.
obsessed.
And I actually did like what Ivy said here. Ivy says to her, whether she did it out of love or hate, the consequences are the same. Theresa is poison. Now, I don't agree with the Theresa's poison part, but the part where she says whether she did it out of love or hate, the consequences are the same. Again, we have to talk about how Ivy does
knows.
those things.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
much stuff that Ivy does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Out of what she calls is love for her son.
Yeah.
Right? She's doing this out of what she says is love for her son. She's letting Theresa, she's manipulating Theresa into being murdered.
Well, she's a hypocrite. I mean, again, who's in the hospital also walking around? David. What's David doing there? Pretending to be Grace Bennett's former husband, or first husband. And she has the nerve to look at Pilar and tell her all these things when her like viciousness is out there walking around in the hospital too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And taking full advantage of the fact that it is Ethan to be closer to Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She is a piece of work.
This is
And all of this cascades from the fact that you lied about Ethan's paternity. I don't care.
That's what I wait.
Like the whole who revealed it and who sent it to the tabloids, blah blah blah. Ivy,
Yeah.
you hid his paternity and passed him off as a crane.
Yeah.
For his whole life,
For
she
his
lied to him.
whole life.
And Pilar has said this to her before at some point. I was thinking we would get a reminder from Pilar about that, but Pilar did not do that. Also, like, I think my brain would be all over the place
Yeah,
if my kid was going through.
Pilar's
what-
going through so much right
her
now.
kid, her grandkid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Her
a
kid,
lot.
her grandkid, her house burned down recently.
Yeah, she just lost her house. I mean, and then not to, if we can like run down the list of Pilar's misfortunes, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, but just recently, right? Like we're seeing she had like that whole a horrible experience at Charity's birthday party,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And now Luis just lost Sheridan, and Luis still going through all of his stuff about Sheridan, and now this whole thing with her daughter, and it's just this lady does not get a break.
Antonio not being around neither, just disappearing on
Yeah.
them.
This lady does not get a break.
Yeah.
Like when you think about all the characters in Passions, Pilar has experienced and continues to experience the most misfortune throughout, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it just compounds and compounds and compounds. Yeah. So anyway.
She did have the fortune of not having to experience her son being in a racing accident and rehabilitating him because she didn't
know
where
anything
he
about it.
was.
Because he wouldn't call her.
Ignorance is
Yeah.
bliss. Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah.
God.
Ignorance is bliss.
Well, she
Very-
thought he might be dead the whole time, so there's that. There's that portion of
She'll
it.
light that candle every day.
Yeah.
I
So
wouldn't be lighting any candles in the little Fitzgerald house or lack thereof.
well, yeah. Yeah. What? Oh, I was about to say what did burn down their house, but it was Kay.
It was Kay. It was Kay Bennett. Kay Bennett.
But it was Kay. I remember exactly how their house, because I was like, was it the candles? No, it was
It's
Kay.
such a different feeling recording live with you all than it is.
It is.
in the Zoom. I mean, it's like
I like it. It's
saw-
weird. I like it
Yeah,
though.
it is funny
I
to like.
enjoyed it because we're having like a conversation.
Yeah, and like interruptions that happen on the Zoom are like totally like not on purpose. Like we're trying to take care of each other. Here it's just like, oh, we're all on the same vibe. Like
Yeah.
That is so true. The talking over each other, it's more like antiquated
Well-
when it's on Zoom because
Yeah.
the sound doesn't always cut
Match,
in.
yeah.
Here, it's like we're still talking.
Yeah, and and it's picking it up, right? Like
so
because
cool.
Zoom cuts out the sound sometimes. I need to remind y'all to turn on the. There's a setting on Zoom that where the sound won't cut.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, I think I told
The
you
sound
what to do.
musician. thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do it.
Anyway, moving back to
Good.
Passions. Rebecca.
You're gonna have
Rebecca.
a lot of
Oh,
editing to do.
Rebecca.
Rebecca comes in and interjects into this whole situation very stupidly. Because if I were her, I would have kept my mouth
Let her
zipped.
go after Ivy. Let
Yeah.
her just get away.
And she says to Pilar, one way or another, we will be rid of Theresa. And she's like, either the police are gonna shoot her,
Yeah.
she's gonna die in the death chamber, or she'll
Yeah.
die giving birth. But either way, we're gonna be rid of Theresa. And Pilar says to her, I will tear you apart, Rebecca. And then she accuses Rebecca of, she says, it's crazy. I didn't like this line. She says, if I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But you do know better, actually. So she says, if I didn't know any better, I would think that you had something to do with all of this. But obviously she does. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. I wish the writers would have given Pilar so many more things to do. But like this is definitely an opportunity to give Eva some acting stuff and make her have a mission of being like, my mother's into it. Like I know they did something and I'm gonna find out what it is.
Yeah.
And it would be so great to have her seeking out like what Rebecca's doing versus just passively like just wait. I mean, and again, a lot of stuff is going on, like we slid, but it's still annoying.
yeah, it's annoying that because yes, there are a lot of things going on, but one thing that Pilar should be doing in this moment is trying to figure out what is going on, right? That's the only way that's the only way she can really do anything to save Theresa is if she figures out what is going on. Clearly something is strange. My daughter has confessed to a murder that I do not believe she committed. Why would she do that? Why is she being so strange about it?
Yeah.
What happened that pushed her in that direction? Do a little investigation.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's not really hard to figure
No.
out.
Yeah.
especially with the way
all of
Rebecca and
them.
Ivy are
Just go,
acting.
You did it for Ethan.
Yeah, all of them should know.
All of
Chad.
Harmony knows that the only person she would do this for is either someone in her family, which is questionable,
Yeah.
and Ethan, which is not questionable.
That's what I'm saying. Chad, Whitney, Ethan, Pilar, Luis, all of them should know what she's up to. I mean,
Because
it's
they
very
also know
blatantly.
that neither of them did it.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, okay, we can eliminate all of us. Who is it that she's covering for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And maybe that's why they're confused, because Ethan is saying, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well then who did do it? Like,
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, Ethan saying I didn't do it. But I think for me, the angle isn't necessarily who killed Julian. The angle is what is causing Theresa to do this, right?
Yes.
And if the clues that you have are that I don't believe Theresa did this murder, right? She is covering for somebody for some reason, but I don't know why. Ivy and Rebecca are happy as clams and are linked together. And you know that Ivy does not like Rebecca.
Yeah.
You know that these two women are enemies, and the only thing they have in common is their hate for your daughter.
Got it.
Right? That's where you start your investigation. That's where you start poking around. That's where but
But they didn't do that.
but
We
you
talk
know,
about
and
coulda, woulda,
also,
shouldas.
they shouldn't even let Alistair off the hook, because he's the one that also accelerated all of this.
I
And
mean,
even though they don't necessarily know for a fact that he's the one that's been talking to the judge and
yeah.
set up the lawyer, they know that he's powerful enough to do it. So they should at least also say Alistair might be behind this somehow.
I think the Alistair of it all, I think the issue with Alistair is that he's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't even consider him oftentimes, right? Like with the huge.
Huge.
Like with the whole house thing with the Mrs. Julian, who's Mrs. Julian Crane and who gets the Crane estate. It's like none of those women were considering
They're
Alistair
so
in it
dumb.
at all.
Yeah.
And it's like it's his house.
Yeah, it's all belongs to Alistair. So it's just so.
Them fighting over who's Mrs. Julian. Julian ain't nobody.
Yeah,
Right.
that was that one time when Rebecca's like, "We'll call Alistair and do that," and Ivy's like,
No, we don't wanna do that.
We don't need to do that." So, and that's the only time, and he's not been brought up since. So,
Yeah.
well, he's running around, but he's not been brought
but
up
not
by
to not
the
to them
characters.
in front of them.
So, Pilar accuses somewhat Rebecca of being involved, and then she calls her evil. And then this is when Theresa and everybody arrives to the
Yes.
hospital. Eve gets to work to save Theresa and her baby. And yeah, they're
I will say, I was watching this part at times too, and I couldn't stop laughing because Pilar goes to the curtain and she's like, "I need to be with my daughter," and Eve goes, "I know, Pilar," but pushes her away. But in 2 times, it was so funny. She was like, "I know, Pilar," and then just shoves her out of the
she pushes her
like,
and closes the curtain. Yeah, it was funny.
So to see it even faster, like normal, it was
Yeah.
funny. This is even faster. I was laughing.
So
But
yeah, so they get to work. She gets to work doctoring like she's never
she
doctored before.
doctored
Yes.
in this
she did.
episode. There was no, you know what, to quiet anyone's nerves.
No.
Yeah, she totally did stuff.
Yeah,
and she had
yeah.
the lingo down. She was like
yeah.
in the code blue mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so
She
she
suddenly turned into an ER doctor.
she says that she has. Well, that's one of her specialties.
Oh, that's right.
That,
That's right. It is
that
a
Rebecca
specialty.
talked about last week is ER. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she does say that she has called for a neonatal specialist. So they did call for a different specialist.
Yeah.
Who
I
never
don't think he
arrives.
shows up.
He never arrives, so she has to take it
She
off.
ends up being the
It was
neonatal
a minor
specialist.
in medical school. She took it as a minor.
She figured it out. So
She Wikipedia'd it. She asked Jeeves it.
oh my gosh. Do you remember Cha Cha?
Cha-cha. Ask Cha-cha.
That was crazy. What a crazy time to be alive. Texting Cha Cha and some random person
Yes.
somewhere just like sends you the answer to your
Yes.
question.
That's, wow. I have not thought about that.
I
in a
wonder if that
long
still
time.
exists. It can't still exist.
Ask
It's so
Cha Cha.
useless. It's pointless because everybody can just Google anything now.
Yeah. Well, that's what Dr. Russell did. She just asked Jeeves and
Ask
they
Jeeves,
told her
yeah.
what to do.
There was
Yeah.
no Google back then.
I
No,
don't think
there
so.
wasn't. We're
Maybe
not in
there was
Google yet.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
There were
She
Yahoo.
maybe Yahoo'd it. Yeah.
There was Netscape. There was Netscape, so it might have taken 3 hours to get the answer.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Netscape.
Ugh. So, Gwen
AOL.
Yeah.
Gwen catches up with Rebecca
Yes.
Yeah.
and tells Rebecca about Theresa's psychotic episode and how she got stabbed in the back.
Rebecca's so funny.
Yeah, because Gwen says, yeah, Theresa stabbed me in the back. And Rebecca says, I know, honey. Like, she stole Ethan from you. And then Gwen's like, no, I mean literally. She
Literally.
stabbed me in the back. Rebecca is very cavalier about the whole situation about the baby.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't seem to care if that baby lives or dies.
No, but she does feel like she needs to say it eventually. She's like, well, of course I don't want nothing bad happen to the baby.
Gwen was looking at her sideways,
Yes, yeah.
and she was huffing and puffing and kept walking away from her. She was like,
Yeah.
I just can't deal with
Yes,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
I can't deal with
I
you.
wonder though if Rebecca has any animosity toward the baby because it's Julian's.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure she. That has to be subliminal.
I could see
or
that.
Like underneath it all.
You know, it's like she
Yeah.
doesn't like Theresa. She was gonna marry Julia, and here this girl is pregnant with his child.
I could
bet
see
you
that.
the actress would consider that in
Yeah.
like her what are my
Of her not
circumstances?
caring for the baby as
Yeah.
much. Not that Rebecca ever showed any motherly kind of.
Mother's
Yeah. I don't know. All right. So Ivy talks to, not Ivy, Rebecca and Gwen talk, catch up, bring each other up to speed on what's going on. Except obviously Rebecca's not telling Gwen about her whole scheme to kill
Yeah.
Because we
Teresa.
also know that Gwen will just tell on her mother.
Yeah,
do
she's
think
said
she-
that. She's been clear about that.
That
She
nothing
said
better
that
ever
very clearly.
happened to Theresa or the baby.
Yeah, she said that very clearly. Ivy also gives her son a good stern talking to about helping Theresa and how he's gonna ruin his life if he doesn't leave that girl alone. And he's like, she was worried because she didn't know that Sam had covered for him, right? So she's thinking that he's now going to have to face the consequences of, staging a jailbreak, basically. But Sam comes over and explains how he covered for him and he should be fine. Okay. And so, whatever. Ivy has taken this to mean that she and Sam deserve to be a family because they work so hard to protect their son. Oh,
But Ethan's a hotshot lawyer. He's obviously going to get himself off. Obviously. He's the best lawyer in town.
Oh my God. Woody's the best lawyer in town. Ethan is a lawyer in town. He's unemployed.
Yeah.
Can't get a job. Nobody will hire him. That's not his fault, though. That's not entirely his fault. All right. So then Eve comes out and explains to everybody that Theresa is going to be fine, but the baby is still in danger. Ethan, Pilar, and Luis all go in to see Theresa. Theresa starts to worry about her son. This is when
This was the moment.
yeah. She is worried about her son. She's like, is my son okay? What's happening? And then she says, it's my fault that he's my baby. If my baby dies, it's my fault. And she has this wave of guilt come over her. And she talks about how she blamed her own baby for the misfortunes, right?
Yeah.
Of her losing Ethan and, all of these things that have been going on with her. She blamed the baby because it was Julian's baby. And she just pours it all out. And she's like, but now since I've held that baby, I love him so much. I never knew I could love somebody like that, right?
Maria,
than
was
Ethan.
it instantaneously like when you became a mother? If I can ask.
Yeah, kind of.
Like you're holding.
Once you kind of see that baby and you're like, one, this was inside me, and two, I created this.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful moment. It's a great bonding moment when you get to hold that child.
I'm sure I mean,
And
I don't.
because like we were saying, like when you're pregnant, you always are like the baby, and it's sort of like an object almost.
Yeah.
Not to be insensitive about it, and then when you hold it, it's like this person. And it's like, wow.
It's just I would imagine like it just there's a change because I don't have kids, but like I look at my niece and nephew and I there's something when I see them even at their ages, they're older now, they're in their early 20s, but I'm like, those are my people, right?
Yeah.
But I can imagine like so it was so cool to see Theresa like up until most recent, she was just like this thing, and she
The thing that she
grappled
was
with
blaming for losing Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
and not to switch this nice touching moment, but like let's all remember, you lost Ethan not because of the pregnancy, it's because you lied. Okay, Sorry.
Okay.
I
I'm not
have,
gonna
I have
pick
to
up
bring
the
it
mic and
back.
drop it,
I have
but-
to bring it all back. Like, you lied. Because Ethan would have stayed with you and would have actually taken care of you if you just trusted him and just told him the truth.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about.
No, I know.
Anyway.
You know I have to bring it back.
See,
I have to bring
see,
it back.
Maria's
know.
she's ordering that soundboard today, so she
That-
has some
I am.
like Gwen button
Yeah.
to push.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, but I do give her grace. I do say good things about Theresa, but I also be really critical
Yeah.
about her. So, I do try
Yeah.
to be fair.
But it is so. With that said, it is
Yeah.
nice that that Theresa
That she
the
finally
growth.
did sort of bond with
Yeah.
that baby.
Yeah, and yeah, she held the baby. She's bonded with her baby.
There's like one moment of
there's a
peace.
change for her.
Yeah.
A shift in her, and it was beautiful.
It was
It was
beautiful.
sad.
Oh, it was so sad.
It was it was
Yeah.
devastating. Honestly, I cried so hard in
I-
these episodes.
if-
I actually cried so hard in these episodes.
I'm-
This tear made me tear up, but then later on when she's doing her goodbyes, I was just like so emotional.
That I was about to say. When we get there, I'll explain some of
Yeah.
my feelings on that.
So, Theresa is, overwhelmed with all of these emotions about her baby and worried about him. And we hear Eve in like the next little alcove over call a code blue. The baby's flatlining. And the medical staff, everyone is like trying to bring this baby back, right? And he has coded and they get the paddles and, eventually bring him back, but it was a long time.
And everybody's just like, I
Yes.
want my baby back. Baby
Yeah.
back.
Baby back ribs. Stop it. This was emotional. This is an
Love
emotional. We're talking
Love
about a
it.
real baby. A real fictional baby.
It's a real fictional
Chili's.
baby on a soap opera that does not have witches and talking dolls,
Yeah,
okay?
this is
We need to
Baby
take
back
this
ribs.
serious.
This is
How
important.
dare you, Eric?
This is important. Okay.
It was pretty. It was
Yeah.
Well, yes, this is sad. This part is sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
All right. So Whitney shows up and she comes in to comfort Theresa
Yeah.
too. Then
Yeah.
while all of this is
Yes.
happening, like, because they're literally the baby is coding for like a full episode.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and during that time, there's these different conversations that happen.
Yes.
So first, Ivy like yells at Rebecca about her plan being a disaster. She's
Yeah.
like, "This is a disaster, Rebecca." It's like, bitch, you're the one that went along with
Yep.
it.
You
It was
signed up for
always a
this.
bad plan.
It was a very bad plan.
It was never a good plan.
It
We
just
only
happened
gave it
to be
grace.
happening.
We
Yeah.
only gave it grace because it was like this will work. We
Yeah.
knew it could work. We knew it could work. But there have always been so many problems and holes and places where this could go horribly wrong.
And from the start, Ethan is in danger because of this plan. Because
Yeah.
all she's
'Cause
got to
there's
do
a tape
is
out
say,
there showing him murdering Alistair. Julian,
yeah,
sorry.
that tape is number one.
Yeah.
And number two, eventually, if Theresa says, like, I'm doing this because of Ethan, why? Where is this tape? Also, again, that tape was in her purse when she
I've been saying it. I have been saying it for
Yeah.
weeks. Where is the tape?
Y'all
she
talked about
went
it.
to the she went to the police station, turned herself in, and never left again.
Yeah.
And she had that tape in her bag.
Yeah.
Now we've seen her in different
she
clothes.
was released and sent back home
Oh, well,
after
maybe
going
they gave her.
Maybe
after
they gave her
going
a bag
to the
back?
judge and stuff. She did go back home
You know what? Men
That's true.
don't know.
because she was wearing purple.
That's what I'm saying.
And
She
then
changed
later
clothes.
she changed into the white, outfit. Which also that's another thing that Ivy needs to remember. She's the one that accelerated this point because she's the one that using emotional manipulation got Theresa to speed up the sentencing.
What? And
As
not-
opposed to letting it sort of, not that Alistair probably wouldn't have tried that, but she herself made Theresa do it.
men, not to be gender specific, but men don't know how to navigate through a woman's purse. And I am assuming, and not to mention the fact that Harmony PD sucks. So I'm sure whoever looked through it did not find anything.
It's crazy. She had confessed to a murder. Everything on her was evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Everything on her was evidence, and they didn't look at any of it.
And this
Yeah.
was the 2000s, so we're talking about actual videotapes. I mean, had this happened today, this would have been a tiny little USB stick
Right.
that no one would find.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a VHS.
VHS tape.
It was a VHS in her bag, and she was holding it
And I
like
promise
this.
you, anybody would be like, "We gotta see what's on here. Like, why is she walking around with a tape?"
Yeah. I mean, are they when you are? I've never been arrested, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
if they if you're arrested and they confiscate like your bag, do they go through it, or is it considered private property?
I think you have to.
I don't
would
know.
think that they have to.
I
look
think
through
they
your
have to
stuff.
log everything,
Yeah.
but I
Because
don't
you
know.
gotta
the
get it all
contents
back.
of what's
Yeah,
in your
because you have
bag?
to get it all back. So I think they have to like log everything. I don't know
Okay.
though. Like
I
you
don't
said,
know
I've
either.
never
I've
been
never been.
arrested, and I
Yeah.
have no intentions of ever being
None
arrested.
at all.
Knock on
Not trying to do that
wood.
research for the show. I'm sorry.
Undercover
No.
boss.
So the most we could assume is that when she was then released to go home
Mm-hmm.
to wait for her sentencing, they gave her stuff and she has the tape. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
no one bothered to look in it.
Yeah.
Maybe because she is Mrs. Julian Crane.
Maybe. So anyway, where are we?
Oh, private
Ivy.
conversation.
Ivy and
Yeah.
Rebecca. This Ivy tells Rebecca that this plan was a disaster. Ethan could go to jail. This annoyed me. She's like, Ethan could go to jail. Pilar could lose her grandson, and Sam could lose his badge. Since when do you care about Pilar's grandson?
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since when do you care? Like I just said 20 minutes ago, you were contemplating pushing Theresa down a flight of stairs,
Yeah.
pregnant.
They just it's for when it's convenient for her to be able to like make somebody. Yeah.
And also,
And make her
why
look
even
high
bring
and mighty.
Pilar into it? I think I could have given her a pass if she was like
Me.
if no, I could have given her a pass if she said Ethan could go to jail, a baby could lose
Yes.
his life, and Sam could lose his badge. But why even bring Pilar into it?
Yeah,
because when
because
you
you
bring
are
Pilar
not-
into it, Pilar is going to lose her daughter because of you. You don't give a fuck about
Exactly.
Yeah,
Pilar.
he does.
So
Yeah.
don't bring Pilar
Exactly.
into this. And
She
that
didn't even bring up Theresa when she's talking about all the things that are gonna go wrong. 'Cause
No.
that's the one she wants.
Yeah, she wants Theresa to die. So it's like the way that phrase was said of Pilar could lose her grandson, it's like she has sympathy and care for Pilar,
Yeah.
right? Not just like, oh, it's a baby and I don't want a baby to die.
Yeah.
It's more than that, up to Pilar is a person that I care about and I don't want her to lose this grandson.
Yeah.
But if Pilar's a person you care about, why would you be actively working to have her daughter murdered?
Exactly.
So leave Pilar out of it,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's fine. I get it. This is the narrative. You're killing Theresa, whatever. Leave Pilar. Keep Pilar's name out of your motherfucking mouth.
Thank you, Will Smith.
That's how
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it. But anyway, I will go on. Rebecca, of course, is just like, no, you can't turn on me now, Ivy, when we're so close to
Yeah.
victory. She's like, when Theresa leaves the hospital, she's going straight to death row and we will have won.
Yeah.
Whatever. Ivy at this point is like exasperated with Rebecca. Again, Ivy has more to lose as this plan starts to go awry,
Yeah.
right? Rebecca has nothing to lose unless people realize that she did this,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and her daughter would be very upset if it gets blamed on Ethan eventually. I mean, like,
Yeah.
or even the idea that Ethan's put at risk right now. Gwen would not be very
Oh, yeah.
happy about this.
Yeah.
She'd be really pissed off.
So now another Rebecca conversation.
This is what I wanted to get to.
So Beth is like comforting Luis, right? And Luis makes this comment about how he can't stand to lose another person that he loves, someone else that he loves. And he says, I'm going to go to the chapel to pray. And Beth to herself says, you won't lose me, Luis. Sheridan is gone, but I'm right here. And I won't lose you again. Rebecca, and this is
Yeah.
the Rebecca that I love.
Yes, me-
Just like stirring the shit,
I have
stirring
Yes.
the pot. Rebecca, even though Rebecca has so much going on right
Yeah.
now, she's like, I'm going to add this to my list of
Listen,
shit.
Oh, yeah.
listen,
Yes.
boys in the basement. If you're not going to give your power to Tabitha, give Tabitha back her powers. Give them to Rebecca. She'd
Oh.
make a fantastic witch.
She would be the best witch.
Yeah. So, Rebecca is a witch.
Without powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so is Tabitha.
Yeah.
Right?
That is so funny.
So Rebecca says to Beth, she just
Yeah.
sees Beth and butts in and
Yeah.
decides to just say
But
these things to
I
Rebecca.
love it.
Oh, I wrote
She-
it down too.
Oh,
Rebecca
yes.
calls her a hypocrite because, and this is what we need to make a point of, earlier on, Beth had said something to Rebecca about being
okay.
like evil, like I can't believe you're relishing in Teresa's like demise.
Yes.
Right?
That's
And she's like, I can't believe you're relishing in this.
Yeah.
And then she walked off. So now Rebecca has made it her mission to show Beth how the two of them are exactly the same.
Yes.
And so Rebecca calls her a hypocrite, says, you're such a hypocrite. And she asks her, what would you do if Sheridan wasn't really dead? You would plot and scheme and do anything to keep Luis, and you would try to keep him from going back to Sheridan.
Yeah. I wrote down, I was like, I love seeing Rebecca, others that not her usual victims, but like another, like just a new dynamic.
A new
because,
victim.
Yeah. And it was Beth. And I was not expecting that whatsoever.
It was so good though.
Yeah, it
It
was
was.
good.
It
Because
was-
the acting, because Beth is looking like the Beth that we will eventually get to know.
Well, and we've
Yes.
been seeing that sprinkled in.
yes, it's,
Yes, we have been starting.
And they
to see
started
it.
sprinkling it in really heavy this week too.
Yeah. Just to keep
go for it.
going, Rebecca says, going on Beth, she's like, she's like, I mean, you do have a lot right now going on. I mean, you know, the Cranes took away your book cafe. And she's like, I also hear your mother's a bit of a handful. And I was like,
Here
we're
we
getting
go.
some Edna Wallace
I
clues.
coming
thought
in.
about you. I was like, Eric is going to love the introduction.
She's coming in. We're getting Beth. I mean Beth's mom.
Yeah.
Edna. So yeah, she calls her a hypocrite. She tells her she would plot and scheme. She would do anything to keep Luis from going back to Sheridan. And she says, I can see the real Beth, not this butter doesn't melt in her mouth. That's what she said. I've never heard that before. But she's like, I can see the real you, Beth. And she calls her a no, she doesn't call her that. Beth calls her that. She says she can see the real Beth, and then she says, and you and I are more alike than you care to admit.
We are willing to fight dirty to keep our men.
Mm-hmm. And Beth denies it, right? She presses back, but she's clearly shaken.
Yeah.
Right? She presses back. She says, I'm not anything like you, Rebecca. You are a cold-hearted monster, a wicked, cold-hearted monster.
And Rebecca's like, game, recognize game.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Eyebrow.
Don't. I gotta find it.
Hold on.
Here it is.
Game, recognize game.
Wait, do it again.
Okay. Game recognizes game. You got to see it live. In person.
So
I
good.
didn't even charge you.
It's so good.
Rebecca would.
Yeah.
So Rebecca then like recaps the whole Sheridan and Luis love story and how Beth lost out on Luis, and she tells her, she's like, you can admit it to me. You hated Sheridan, didn't you? Let me just tell you, I am not like Rebecca, but that little portion, you can admit it, you hated her, right?
Yeah.
I have said that to so many people. I mean, like, you can tell me. I'll be like, you can tell me. You don't like her, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you can see it. You can
Yeah.
see it. I can tell. And so I'll pull somebody and be like, hey.
I like it because at least I know I'm on the same level about somebody else. If if I'm feeling a vibe, then I'm like, hey, am I crazy or?
But I love that. You can admit it to me. You hated Sheridan, didn't you?
Let's be BFFs. And
Yeah.
let's go get it.
I loved that so much because I was like, yes, you can admit it to me. So anyway, we're going on. I I have something here about Ivy having a conversation with Sam about Ethan and doing everything they can to like keep Ethan out of jail. And then they hug and Grace sees them hugging. But then Grace is like, I have no doubts about Sam's love for me.
And then they make out in front of Ivy.
Whatever. Yeah. We'll see more of that. They're just sprinkling in. Don't forget that this storyline exists because we haven't talked about it in months.
And David's there. He gets a couple lines.
And David's there for no reason.
For no reason.
No reason, David.
No reason.
David has no reason to be at the hospital.
I'm here to photograph the baby. For a wedding, a present or a goodbye present for.
For Theresa. Oh my
God. So bad.
That's rough. That's rough when improv goes wrong.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Michael Scott improv. That's pretty much what I just did right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So Ethan also has a little. Everybody's having like little conversations while this baby's coding.
Yes.
Ethan also has a little conversation with Chad where he talks about he held the baby and he felt a connection to the baby, and he says even though he's not my son, I just feel like he'll always be a part of my life. We'll always be a part of each other's lives. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. He said he felt changed.
I have been changed for good.
Just to clear the air. No,
I beg forgiveness. Okay. So then Gwen is having her little conversation with Whitney.
And I actually have that.
Go
script.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me how this came about.
Well, it came about because everyone was clearing the room.
Mm-hmm.
So Theresa was like, okay, everyone could leave except for Ethan, which I kind of found a little weird. I was like, that's kind of slapping in the face of your family that you kicked everyone out, but you want Ethan, who's not related to you there. But again, this is Theresa.
It's Theresa. And also, not for nothing, she could die very soon. She wants to spend her last what she has with Ethan.
But
I'm going to give it to her.
Fuck your mom. Fuck your brother.
She spent plenty of time with them. She had all those years up until she met Ethan with them. They had their time with her. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
No,
I actually agree.
Yeah.
I wrote it in my notes that it was weird that she was like that everybody had to leave. And it wasn't that Theresa put everybody out. It was a medical staff that was like Theresa's getting too upset and she actually was trying to put everybody out, and Theresa was like, no, I would like Ethan to stay.
Yeah. So yeah, I get it. And then he actually checks with Gwen first, though, and she's like, no, she needs you. Mm-hmm. And that's when Whitney was like, thank you for that. And Gwen's like, for what? And Whitney's like, for letting Ethan go in there and be with Theresa right now. And then Gwen tells her, she's like, you really think I'm that heartless? Look, I can't imagine what Theresa's going through right now, but I know that she needs comfort. And if Ethan's there to help her, I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. And then Whitney's like, well, that's very big of you. And then that's when Gwen tells her, don't get me wrong, Whitney. I love Ethan and we're getting back together. We're already taking steps toward that. I have looked at this realistically. Teresa's not going to be able to come between Ethan and me because she simply won't be around.
Yeah, she says, first she says she simply won't be around, and then she doubles down and is like, she'll be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, if it wasn't clear enough, she's going to die.
And she's like, I'm not saying this to be mean.
But I mean, it's a fact.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Teresa
she
can't break us up again because she'll be dead.
Because she'll be dead. Yikes.
And she was trying to deliver it kind of nicely. Not in a way like Rebecca would. Rebecca would be like,
exactly.
It wasn't gloaty.
No, but it was just...
It was matter of fact.
Yeah, it was matter of fact.
It was matter of fact. She said, Teresa's not going to be able to break us up. She won't be around.
Yeah, and it was just said kind of with the upper hand as well. It's just like
the only thing that kind of bothers me with statements like that is that she is giving into the fact that Teresa's a threat. She's not saying she's not going to break us up because Ethan and I love each other.
That's a good point.
She's saying it's because Teresa's not around.
Straight from the Gwen expert.
Yeah. And that's such a good point.
I see the realism of, the soap opera.
That's a very good point.
I do still always side with Gwen, but realistically, she should be more confident in their love together as opposed to letting someone come between them.
Yeah, you shouldn't be concerned that Theresa would be able to break y'all up.
I mean, it will help because also we also know that Teresa's like a relentless person that will do everything all the time. Like you'll just get exhausted by her constant trying to come between you guys,
Mm-hmm. All right. So, but also, actually, I'm going to tag on there. I start to zone out, but I want to say Ethan is madly in love with Theresa and is obsessed with her. So
I do not agree.
that's a good that's a big portion of it.
For the record, I do
that's a
not
big
agree.
part of why it is Theresa is a threat, and it's because Ethan he
His feelings
always
have not
goes
gone
to
away.
her. He
Yeah,
always
he
goes
loves
to
her,
Yeah.
but he can't trust her, and you do need both.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that does make her a threat.
Yeah,
Because
I'm-
if Gwen knows and understands that Ethan does love Theresa, is in love with Theresa, but he has chosen me because he also loves me, right? But he has chosen me. There's always that chance that he will slip up and find his way back to Theresa, right?
Of course.
So I think that's when I think about it, I think like, yeah, it makes sense that Gwen would be like, Teresa's not going to be a threat because she'll be dead, right?
Listeners, I was about to move the camera and go stand between them so that way.
You don't have to stand between
We're
us.
fine.
Oh.
So, meanwhile, Ethan is having a conversation with Chad about holding the baby and how it changed him and how he felt he had a connection to this baby, even though it's not his son. And he feels that they will always be a part of each other's lives. Oh, no, we already did all of this because we did the Gwen and Whitney stuff. So I'm going to skip.
Okay.
We're
To
toward the-
where
yeah.
Eve, okay.
Yeah.
So Gwen and Whitney have that conversation.
Yep.
And then Eve is able to stabilize the baby. We find out that
Yay.
Eve was able to stabilize the baby. Teresa is overjoyed and very joyously reunites with her baby. The joy is very short-lived as the state police come and say they need to take Teresa to prison.
No,
Well,
but there's
we
the
do-
conversation
Yeah.
about naming the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that happens after
Oh,
they
got
do
it.
that.
Oh, really?
Oh, got it.
Oh.
Because my next note is Sam convinces them to give her a little more time.
Oh,
There it
okay.
is.
Sorry.
So the joy is short-lived. The state police, they want to come and take Teresa to prison. Sam convinces them to give her a little more time with the baby. He's like, have a heart, right?
Yeah.
Have a heart. She just had the baby. The baby just came out of like defib. Let her have a little bit of time with her baby. Like, what is it? What is it to you?
Yeah.
Really? I don't understand why these state police have such a hard on to take Teresa to prison right now.
Because she's a criminal.
No, she's a woman who just had a fucking baby,
Yeah.
and like her baby fucking almost died. Like, sure, she's a criminal, but it's like
That's
there's a human aspect to it. And this is not to get political, but this is part of like the thinking around like criminality annoys me so
Yes,
much
it does.
because
Me too.
just because somebody is quote a criminal does not necessarily make them an evil or bad
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And there's a certain level of humanity that they are and rights that they are entitled to.
Yeah, how can a
Right?
police officer not just say, this woman is about to be put to death? She hasn't even really been able to connect with her baby. Can I at least give her 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, just very
Yeah.
quickly?
It's just like, where is your humanity? That's the portion where I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
Because what do you have to lose by letting her cradle her baby for an hour?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sam does convince them to give her time with her baby. They're like, 5 minutes. She's got 5 minutes. They're such jackasses
Yeah.
about this. So Teresa and Ethan are having this conversation, and she says she wants to name the baby before she has to go to prison. And she considers naming her baby Martin after
her
father.
favorite show.
Martin. She considers naming him Martin after her father, not Martin Lawrence. And then she says to Ethan, but if it's okay with you, I would like to name my son after a man who helped bring him into this world, a man I know my son will love almost as much as I do, which is just a weird.
Yeah.
It was just a weird line, but whatever. It was still beautiful. And Ethan was like, I'm honored. Yes.
And
right.
now we have little Ethan.
And now we have
for
little
the foreseeable-
Ethan.
Until
And-
all the way to the end of the show.
And I do have to have a criticism.
I have a criticism
Okay.
too. Is it
Okay.
the same one that I have?
I don't know.
Go for it.
The criticism is you're giving Ethan all this credit for helping to bring this baby into this world, and all he
Oh.
did was hold her hand. Gwen
Oh,
delivered
yeah?
this baby.
But it's a boy.
Yeah.
So she was going to name the baby Gwen. And I mean, she was never going to name the baby Gwen. That was never up for discussion.
Maria has just convinced me the baby's name should be Gwen.
It was never up for
Yes.
discussion.
It should be Gwen. But
No,
maybe,
and I think part of it too, like as far as the helping, I think part of it isn't necessarily just the giving birth part. I think it was like the escape.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it. But I agree. I do agree that
when it
that
comes
Ethan
to
didn't
the
do
baby,
anything.
Since that baby was born up until Theresa finally claimed that baby was Gwen's. Gwen helped deliver that baby. Gwen was holding that baby. Gwen was telling everyone that baby's in distress. Gwen was trying to do everything she could to save that baby.
That's
that baby
true.
is alive because of Gwen.
That-
Find me
wow.
a male version of the name Gwen, and that should be that child's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guinevere. I don't know.
Well, my criticism was different. It was the start of this conversation. Ethan tells Theresa, well, I guess you could name the baby after its father.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Yo, what the fuck was that? Ethan is so stupid. I hate him.
I have not seen him be this stupid in a while. And it was funny because he said
I didn't even
Yeah.
put it in my notes.
No, I
it
wrote
was
it
so
down 'cause I was
dumb.
like,
Actually
why did you
forgot that he
say
made that
that? Yeah, he
suggestion.
said it something like, well, because she was like, I haven't put much consideration into the baby's name. And he's like, well, so he said something along the lines like, most people name their baby after the father. And she's like, he said something like, oh, but I guess that wouldn't be a good idea for you.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, why would you even bring that up? She's like, yeah, I'm not naming. I think she says I would never name my baby Julian.
Yeah.
It's like,
Julian
no.
Crane Jr.
Well, so she named her baby's name is Ethan Martin, not Crane. She didn't name him
Lopez.
Crane. Lopez Fitzgerald, didn't she? Or did she name him Crane? I think she
guess
did name him Crane.
Ethan
It's
Martin.
Ethan Martin Crane.
Ethan
Yeah.
Martin Crane, yeah.
They said it at one point, and I was like, oh, okay, that's his whole name.
And also, we're realizing that Ivy didn't even name her child Julian.
Yeah.
She
none
named
of
him
them.
Well, she knew that baby wasn't Julian's.
That's also true, but she didn't name Fox either.
Well, yeah, that's true. But she definitely knew that baby was not. But also, I think it is weird. I hope I don't offend anybody. I don't know if this has happened or somebody has done this. I think it is very weird to name your second son the junior.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think your first son
first one.
is the junior or the second.
Yeah.
Have you not met George Foreman?
Oh, that's funny.
That's
name everybody.
That's just wild, right? Like,
Didn't he even name the
He named
the
all his
daughters?
Yeah, all
George
his kids are
Foreman?
George Foreman, which is ridiculous. And I remember when I first heard that, I thought it was like fake. I thought that was made up, but it's
No,
not. It's
no,
real.
It's not. So you could.
You could,
could.
but again, he named his first son George Foreman, right? Like,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
what
second
I'm
one.
saying is, my name is Ethan Crane, and I named my first son Fox, and I named my second son
Well-
Ethan Jr. would be
Yeah,
weird.
there is a joke on The Office where Andy Bernard's name
Yeah.
got changed because the parents had named him a junior first, and then after he was growing up and they had another son
That
were
they
like,
liked
"Yeah,
better."
This one is not the junior, and they switched. They legally
Yeah.
had his name switched so that he was the junior. That is
And
a
that's
funny story.
It's funny and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's such a weird thing
Yeah.
to name your second son the junior. Anyway, moving on.
Funny.
This baby's name is Ethan.
and we have him now. Yeah,
Yeah, he's here and he's so cute. The little baby that they
squishy
have.
face.
Oh, you're so cute. I love
So
babies.
cute.
Okay, so Theresa names her baby.
I will point out though that when she did actually say that she wants to name him Ethan, it was before the commercial. But I don't know if maybe he was directed to look this way, but he kind of looked a little disturbed.
I think you gleaned that. I think
No,
that's
I
your
don't-
projection.
I don't recall that.
Yeah,
but
because
I
he
was watching
literally
it
says
fast.
to her like, "I'm honored." Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
after the commercial break. But right before the
maybe-
commercial break, I made a note like Ethan seems a little disturbed.
Maybe
by
it was
that.
shock. Maybe it
Yeah,
was shock
maybe it's a
versus
shock.
disturbance. Like
I think it was like unexpected.
yeah.
Unexpected.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I would say I think the disturbed part is you projecting. I would,
But it's not like they're together, so it's like here she goes again with her
but
obsession
it's not like they were
over
together.
me.
But she did say, you helped deliver him, bring him into the world, and
She says she wants to name him after the two people she loves. her father and Ethan.
But she's been saying that she loved Ethan. She never stopped saying, I love you, Ethan. I want to get back with you. It's not that weird or crazy for him to, he should have expected it.
Oh, yeah, because it's Theresa. But
Yeah,
like, are
he
you
should have
naming your
expected
child after an ex-boyfriend? Even if you still love him?
Would I name my child after an ex-boyfriend? Absolutely not. But Theresa believes that she and Ethan will eventually get back together. Right? And
Even
then
though
and raise
she
this
is
baby.
going to the death.
Even though, because she still thinks that at this
Yeah.
point, she still thinks the Cranes, even like later on in these episodes, she's still like saying out of her fucking mouth, the Cranes are gonna save me. Also, I hate that they keep saying the Cranes. There's only one.
It's one person.
There's one
that
Crane.
needs to make a choice.
No, there's only one Crane left.
Yeah.
Julian is dead to everybody.
Yes.
Sheridan is dead to everybody.
Yes.
Right? Ethan's no longer a Crane.
Yes.
There's only one Crane left. Ivy isn't a Crane anymore either because she got divorced from Julian.
Yeah.
The only Cranes left are Theresa and Alistair.
And if Alistair has not come to her rescue now, why
He's not
is
gonna
he
do
waiting
it.
until she's
Yeah.
on death row?
He's not going to do it. So anyway.
I just realized little Ethan's initials are EMC, which is algebraic. So E equals MC squared. And he is Julian's.
yeah.
Oh, he's
Descendant.
also a Crane.
Yeah, but he can't do
now we have
anything.
Crane. Oh my God, that'd be so funny if the baby's like, Governor.
I am the Crane heir.
And I want mommy to live.
In 20 years, I will be your boss. So you
Yeah.
need to listen to me now. Like, yeah, no, that would be hilarious. Although, well, we'll get there eventually where Theresa is like over the Crane estate because she has the heir or whatever. That was interesting because she could do that now, right?
Yeah.
Like she has the Crane heir and she could try to wield that power. Try to.
Yeah.
But that's not what's happening. So anyway, at this point, Ethan says he's honored. This moment is okay. They get interrupted by the state police again.
It's time to go.
And Ethan says, no, don't. I'm going to call the judge. I'm going to try to make a last appeal to at least let her stay at the hospital. So he runs off to try and call the judge. Meanwhile, the rest of the family, Lopez Fitzgeralds, they come in to meet little Ethan. So they meet little Ethan. It's very sweet.
It's very pretty.
It was very lovely. Theresa says to them, can you all please look after him until Ethan gets all of this worked out? And Louise says to her, Theresa, you need to face reality that this might not work out in your favor. And he tries to convince her. He's like, you can still change your plea, which I don't think is true.
No, of course not.
But I think it does throw a wrench in things, I guess, right? If she recants, I'm not sure. We would need Karen.
Yeah.
We need the legal eagle, but
And we're sending her all over New York looking for something. So.
yeah. So but yeah, he's like, all you have to do is change your plea. I think it's beyond plea at this point because she's been convicted.
Yeah.
So
The most they can do is an appeal because they'll introduce new evidence, which is her recanting.
yeah. So I don't know about that really. So, but anyway, he tries to convince her at least to try to take it back, understandably so. And she says to him, the Cranes and Ethan won't let me die. The Cranes and Ethan won't let me die. They've just been waiting to talk to the right people who can get this case thrown out. Why would they wait?
Yeah.
Why would the Crane? And she keeps saying the Cranes, and like I just said, there's only one Crane.
It's only Alistair, and
There's
he
only
hasn't
one.
come to your defense.
Whitney is in there watching all of this, and she steps out saying, I can't watch this. Theresa is delusional. I can't watch this. And it's making her sad, and I get that.
Yeah.
How exhausted must Whitney be for her to give up on Theresa?
Yeah, I mean,
God
you
bless
know
her.
what it is though too is that
It's heartbreaking.
There's
for
It's
you
hard-
as, a,
yeah.
as
through
your
to her.
friend. Yeah.
Like, there's nothing she can say to get Theresa to
yeah.
see the reality that's in front of her right now.
yeah, and I don't know, because on the one hand, my thought process around Theresa on one hand is that she has gone through this like traumatizing experience. She is on death row and she's like clinging to this last little bit of hope.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, this was all completely unnecessary. You didn't kill Julian.
Yeah.
So, on the one hand, it's like, I get that she's like losing it a little bit because, things aren't looking so good for her.
Yeah.
And she's trying to stay positive and cling to this little bit of hope. But again, you didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Why? And you still don't have to do this. You could be like, there's a tape. You know what I mean? Like, you have a baby now.
Yeah.
Right? But she would never throw Ethan under the bus. Also understandably so, right?
Yeah.
But she didn't have to confess, but she did. Anyway.
Well, I'm wondering also if her idea of Ethan's wouldn't let this happen to me is that if she's thinking he's going to be this knight in shining armor and decide to take confess to save her. Because that's sort of what she's romanticizing, is that Ethan is going to declare he loves her and not going to let her take the fall for it. He's going to come to her and he's going to confess it all.
I wish that made sense, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. And the thing is, my thing is,
So sad.
if Theresa's hope for Ethan to save her, she does have this hope that Ethan is going to save her. She does, absolutely. But it's not by confessing, because that's literally the last thing she wants him to do.
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't want him to confess it all and save her.
Yeah.
She wants him to appeal the system and save her. But yeah, this was all so ridiculous. And it was sad. And so Ethan comes back and with the bad news that, quote, Theresa has to go to prison tonight. That's what the judge said. Yeah. So Theresa gives her a very emotional goodbye to everybody, like every single person. Like she even says something to Grace, she goes around the room and, says, no, this isn't for forever. This is just for now. This is all going to work out. Isn't it, Ethan? And Ethan at first he wants to tell her the truth, but then he's like, yeah, it is, Theresa. It's going to be okay. Ugh.
Yeah.
So she gives everybody her goodbyes. It was all very emotional. I cried a lot. This made me very emotional. I felt very bad for her.
It was very sad.
I felt really bad for her and I felt so bad for her family.
Yeah.
And
the music was
the
playing.
music got me. That's what it was. The
I hadn't
music
heard that
got
music
me.
in a while, and I was like, "Oh, I remember this."
It was
the
very
version
emotional.
I saw, because I saw it online, the music was cut out. So
Some of it had it, and then some of it did.
I see. I watched.
Did you watch? Oh, okay.
I watched on my stash.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I can't remember what made me switch over to my stash. I think that very first episode, the quality was real bad.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, let me go over here and do this.
Yeah.
The music was so good. You have to try and watch it with the music. Not that you would care about Theresa's sad goodbye.
It was sad.
I care about the
Yeah, the family.
But the music made it very emotional and it brought me to tears. Like I wasn't just like, oh, I have a tear. I was like, because I'm a crier.
Yeah.
Okay. I will watch, I get really invested in shows and things like that. And I obviously I love Theresa. Yeah. I identify with her to a certain extent. And her family. Yeah. God, Louise was so upset.
Having to lose Sheridan and now his sister.
Yeah.
This was something that I would talk about, for Louise, the way I see Louise and Theresa, there's this thing where my brother would call me mijo, which, you all know is like my son. And so it's like I see Luis looking at Theresa like it's not just his sister, that's his kid.
Yeah, he thinks of that way.
Yeah.
The Miguel and Theresa.
Yeah.
Not
He gave up a life with Beth.
He did.
He did, and he talks about
family.
He talks about that. I hope y'all took notes on it because I certainly did not.
I did.
Okay.
That's why we got each other covered.
Theresa gives her, her goodbyes to everybody. It was very, very sad, very, very emotional. And then she gets taken away. And then Miguel asks Ethan, do you really think there's any hope for an appeal for Theresa? And he says, no, I don't think there is. There's just not enough time. And then Louise says, well, then why did you tell her everything was going to be okay? And Ethan responds by saying, what else could I say? Tell her I'm terrified she's going to die? Yeah, that could have been helpful. Yeah. Tell this girl the truth.
The truth.
Tell this. She does deserve that much.
Will she hear it?
Yeah.
Because she
if
will
it comes from
continue to say,
Ethan,
don't worry, you'll find a way.
I think if it comes from, she probably would say you'll find a way, but I think if it came from Ethan, it would be at least have more gravity because he is the one in the know of the whole situation, right? Like he's the one who allegedly understands the legal system and how this is going to work, right? And if he tells her, yeah, there doesn't seem to be any hope. Like, I'm going to keep trying, but he needs to be clear with her, like, this is
over.
close to over.
Yeah.
And so he says there's no hope. Theresa goes to prison, terrified. People, the people on death row, the ladies on death row, the
like,
cell block tango.
Fresh meat.
Yeah. They all, the ladies of Chicago, the Mary murderesses of, what is it?
The Cook County Jail.
Cook County Jail proudly presents the
Mary
murderesses of death row or something.
County
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever. Present the cell block tango.
Yes, there we go.
He had it coming.
Yeah, we won't get a cell block tango, an actual one, for a little bit.
Yeah, because Chicago hadn't come out yet at this point. But they do eventually do.
We'll get
their
there.
Passions version of the cell block tango.
Right? Yeah.
Wasn't it like I didn't do what was it?
I actually know it. Hold on. Oh, come on, Eric, you're blanking.
You got this.
She had it coming.
But
she had it coming.
It's oh, how she felt. I might have pushed her a bit. I'm not sorry. No,
that's what it is.
Bit.
I'm not sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh,
I'm glad we got there. I'm so glad we got there.
I was like, no, Eric,
I was gonna let you, and I was like, we're holding until Eric figures it out.
I ain't sorry.
Yeah.
I ain't sorry.
Yeah.
I ain't sorry. No, not one little bit. She deserved it. She deserved it. She's a menace. She's a blonde, and she's a twit.
Which I'm sure they would rather have that end as. And she's a bitch.
Yeah. So Theresa goes to jail.
Yeah.
She gets taunted by the murderers, the ladies on death row, and Theresa is maintaining, no, I'm not gonna be here long. Right?
Yeah.
She has this dream. So Ethan, let's talk about what Ethan. He has a light bulb moment, right? And he's like, "Oh my gosh,
going at it all wrong."
I've been going at this from the wrong direction. I shouldn't be looking to get an appeal. I should be looking to have her get a stay of execution, right? So I have to go talk to the governor." And he's like, the governor worked for my grandfather on the Winthrop side, right? Because reminder to everybody, Ethan's grandfather was the governor, right? So he's like, the current governor worked for my grandfather when he was the governor. I'm sure he'll see me. I'm sure he'll listen to me. So he runs to the governor's office. He gets there. They won't let him in, right? He's being barred from going in. But just know that's what was going on when Theresa has her dream. And I was like, this is bullshit. Passions is so annoying.
Yeah, you can spot a dream a mile away.
Sometimes you can. I feel
sometimes they can get us, but
they've gotten me one or two times. Yeah, and I do think if I was watching this through for the very first time,
you might have gotten.
I may have gotten at the very beginning. Right at that very, very beginning part of him running in. So she has this dream that Ethan runs into the prison and he has her a pardon from the governor, basically. And then he goes into her cell, kisses her. Then the warden brings in the baby. Like, it just got progressively crazier and crazier. And Ethan tells her like how much he can't wait to spend the rest of their lives together, yada, yada, yada. Of course, it was a dream. It was obviously a dream.
It was the worst episode of Orange is the New Black.
It really is.
So, meanwhile, everybody is gathered at the Bennett's home. Wait. We can skip this. We can skip this. He goes to the governor's office. Let's talk about what happens at the governor's office. So, he gets there and he can't get in. Meanwhile, the governor's like in his office doing work, right? Yeah. And then Alistair comes in through a back door.
Yeah. Of course.
Into the governor's office. And the governor gets up out of his seat, gives Alistair his chair. Right? And he's like, "What can I do for you, Mr. Crane?" And Alistair says, "I want you to sentence Theresa to death tomorrow. I set her execution date for tomorrow.
I can have my breakfast."
Yeah, like late afternoon.
Late afternoon.
And he says to him, the governor says to Alistair, "Well, yikes, that's really fast. There's a lot of paperwork that has to get done. I don't even have an order of execution. And Alistair's like, well, I just so happen to have one right here.
Yeah.
Pulls it out, and he's like, I'm sure you'll have no trouble signing this. And the governor just signs it.
How did he get that? I mean, I guess money really can do anything, but how did he get that? He made me think of Matilda when she shows up with the adoption papers.
She got them from the library.
Yeah, I had them as soon as I was old enough to Xerox.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
She got them from the
Alistair
library.
went to the library too.
Yeah, to get the execution order. I mean, he does have like an incredible
Infinite amount of
wealth.
power.
Yeah.
He also has a team of lawyers. I'm sure they can
Just draft it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
draft it for him.
But it was like on the governor's letterhead, which again is like not hard to come by, I guess, if you have a lot of power and influence.
It's
but still,
Alistair. He owns this town.
Alistair was like, it's time to get rid of Theresa once and for all.
So
Theresa.
Theresa. So yeah, Alistair wants her to go to the death chamber tomorrow. Gives him the order of execution to sign. He signs it. Ethan manages to break free of like the guard, Secret Service guys or whatever, and he busts into the governor's office, and he finds Alistair sitting right there.
Yeah.
And he tells Alistair, "Grandfather, thank God you're here." Like, come on, Ethan, come on.
And the music swells, and it gets exciting because we have not seen them interact in a very, very long time. Am I not mistaken? Yeah, yeah. I haven't. I can't,
Since Ethan got kicked out of the family.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah. So he tells him, Ethan's like, he keeps saying grandfather, right? And Alistair, is this when Alistair tells him not to call him grandfather, or am I conflating that for the next
That's
episode?
next
You
episode.
warned us.
I messed
from the
myself up because I
beginning.
watched the next
Yeah.
episode.
But hey, past Latara told us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but ahead of time.
Okay, okay. So Ethan bursts in. Alistair's sitting there. He's shocked. He's like, "Oh my God, grandfather, I'm
Music
so glad you're
swells.
here," even though I don't know why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Alistair tells him, "I'm here to personally ensure that all the power and influence of the Crane Empire is brought to bear regarding Theresa's death sentence." So he says it in a way that it sounds like it could sound like he's trying to help, right?
Yeah.
And that's like basically the end of the episode. But before we finish, we have to talk about Ivy and Rebecca at the mansion.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We have to talk about Ivy and Rebecca at the
were
mansion.
horrible.
They were horrible. So they get back to the mansion after leaving the hospital, and they go to the library, and there's a maid in there. It wasn't Phyllis. I don't know who that was.
But it almost feels like they were trying to imply that was Phyllis, and maybe it was a different actor.
Yeah, it
they-
did seem like they were trying to imply that, but it wasn't Phyllis.
I
They
bet you
didn't
that-
call her Phyllis.
Yeah, I bet you
Yeah.
that actress was like done, and they
She wants
just wanted to keep that
She wants
personality
to go be
around.
on Friends and play that Phyllis.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
I see what you're saying. You told us
Phoebe's-
about Phoebe's
yeah.
coworker,
Co-worker, who I believe was called Phyllis.
or she went to the office to be Phyllis in the office.
There you go.
Is she only allowed to play characters named Phyllis?
don't
She's
know.
only allowed to play Phyllis. So she's been typecast
Yeah.
as the Phyllis.
As Phyllis.
That'd be a funny resume to see.
Even though I
Phyllis,
missed her
Phyllis,
though,
Phyllis.
because she was so
I loved
much
Phyllis.
fun.
She was hilarious. I loved
Yeah.
Phyllis.
This one just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, and yeah. So Ivy and Rebecca have words with this maid, because the maid like stands up to them and is like, "I can't believe you're reveling in Mrs. Crane's like demise, and that she's going through all of this horrible
Yeah,
stuff."
and also she's like, she treated us with dignity and like with respect. Like the staff was happy with her here, and y'all.
As long as they agreed with Theresa, because other than that, she's
Yeah.
like, they can be out.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the same with all the rest of them. Like,
Oh no, I'm not.
So-
I'm not,
so, like, if-
I'm not saying that in the sense of like, oh, she's not acting as like the Crane. I'm just saying that as someone who was the housekeeper's daughter and was, supposed to be compassionate, that's kind of fucked up.
I
How
mean,
she treated the staff. Like, remember when she woke up and she's like, "Where's my breakfast? I'm Mrs. Crane." Like she.
Oh, yeah.
went
yeah,
into
no,
that role
I
real
remember
quick.
when
The
she
power went to
started
her head.
talking like that. I will say though, we never actually saw her interacting and being nasty to
Yeah.
staff. We never saw her doing it.
When she first walked in, she was basically, "If y'all don't agree with me, y'all can leave."
Well, she said, "This is my house now, and if
Yeah.
you have a problem with me being Mrs. Crane, you can leave." Yes, I agree. I would say the same fucking thing. I don't want people in my house who are loyal to fucking Ivy.
Yeah, that's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
I
could
don't think
call
that's
her out.
necessarily nasty. What she said to them was, "I'm going to give you benefits. I'm going to give you better pay, and if you don't like that, you can leave." And did anybody leave?
Yeah.
No, they hanged out. They were like, "Yeah, we're in,"
Yeah.
and that's how she gained loyalty in the home, right?
She did.
And we see that with this maid being so willing to kind of stand up for Theresa in Theresa's absence to Rebecca and Ivy,
That's
you know.
Oh, yeah.
impressive, yeah.
That's true. Phyllis came out with that shotgun.
Oh,
And
that's
Phyllis,
true.
yes, they were ready to die for Theresa. No, they weren't ready to die for Theresa, but she was ready to kill for
She
Teresa.
was,
Yeah.
That was
But
crazy.
she's probably been wanting to put a gun to these people for a while too.
Yeah. So they have like this interaction with the maid. It was very nasty. They
Yeah.
basically tell her like, why should we be nice to you?
Yeah.
Like, unless you don't want this job anymore, I suggest you go get our champagne and shut the fuck up talking to us.
Yeah.
Is basically what they said to her. Then they sit down to watch TV because Ivy wants to see about if there's any news about Teresa's execution date. And they turn on the TV and wrestling is on. And this is going to tie into our magic storyline, which we're about to go into.
Yes.
But they see on TV a wrestler who looks suspiciously like Julian.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they realize Julian is actually still alive.
Yep.
Yep.
And for some reason on this wrestling show. But they also deduce that because Ivy starts to worry, well, this is going to fuck up our
yes,
plan.
Exactly.
Yes.
If he's still alive, then there's no murder,
Yeah.
right?
No murder.
But then Rebecca realizes, wait a minute, if Julian's still alive, why is he like on TV in a mask, like pretending to be someone else?
With
Yeah,
a
there's
title and a
no-
name that is
Yeah,
so
yeah, there's no-
corporate.
Yeah.
Like what was he
Stupid.
like the something
The masked
CEO.
CEO.
the mass CEO.
Well, and they just they don't really investigate this much at all. They're just concerned about themselves and their plan because they totally should be like, I don't know, considering how is he alive? Why is he there? Like, there's not really much
And
question
Rebecca
about
should
that.
be so happy that her Pookie's alive.
Yeah.
Well, she wanted to be a widow.
Yeah,
She
a
says
wealthy
that.
widow,
She's like,
yeah.
you think you're a widow. And
Yeah.
it was
That
so,
was God.
that was so funny.
These actresses, no matter what, are so good.
And so
Yeah.
I want to say this line because it cracked me up. So they realized that this could ruin their plan to kill Theresa, right? And Ivy says, that incompetent nincompoop Julian, he can't even die and stay dead. I love the use of the word nincompoop.
Yeah.
Yes.
At one point too, because they're like, well, maybe it's not Julian. And Ivy's like, oh, are you kidding? Look at the way he's cowering in fear. Only Julian could do that. It was just, I love this idea that these two women who have been with Julian just know, like, when it's the two of them on the same side, they are agreeing like they know who they got on, you know, like they
Yeah.
know him.
Yeah, they
but
know him.
when they're on opposite sides, they like, I think Rebecca would come to Julian's defense at some point. But here, they're just girlfriends talking about an ex-boyfriend. Basically, it is so funny to watch.
And another line that cracked me up was that Ivy said, Julian, the Lazarus of harmony.
Yeah, that was funny.
That
yeah,
was
I
good.
I
That
didn't
was a
get
good
to.
one.
I was on the subway on the way over here, so I read that. I had my captions. I forgot my headphones, but I read that and I laughed. I was like, "The Lazarus is pretty funny."
So they deduce that Julian is in hiding.
Yeah.
Correctly. They deduce this correctly.
They do figure it all out.
They deduce that Julian is in hiding and he's not planning to come back until after the person who killed him is executed, i.e. Theresa.
Yeah.
So no problem for them. And they're
Yeah.
just like turn off the
They
TV
turn
like,
the
we
TV.
didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Did you
Didn't
see
they also
anything?
notice that? Didn't they also notice Timmy was there?
They did.
Yeah, they're like, "Who's that?"
Confused about
yeah,
it.
Who's
Yeah.
that person? That little person that's there? That seems to be Julian's
Tabitha's-
manager or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, "I don't know. That's." Yeah, they don't identify.
She
Timmy.
says he looks like Tabitha's
Oh,
little
okay.
nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why would a sweet boy like that be hanging out with Julian?
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're confused, but they're turned off the TV.
Yeah.
Like,
So that nobody
see
else
no
can see
evil,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Every
Like,
once in a while, it just always, I know we always do our best to parse out like what is magic, what is troubled marriages, but it's so funny when weird things like this happen where like there's a whole thing going on somewhere else in the world and Ivy and Rebecca are like, is that
Yeah.
Timmy?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good.
So now that's the end. Y'all have anything to add to that storyline?
No, I don't think
That was the
so.
bulk of
I
it.
mean,
That was the bulk of the show.
obviously, but that show obviously was catering just to the audience of 2. Because obviously, since Ivy and Rebecca turned off the TV, no one in Harmony was watching.
Right.
And-
To have
yeah.
noticed that it's Julian.
Yeah,
And I
that's
laughed
the
that
good
they're
point.
like, why is wrestling on this TV?
Yeah.
And Rebecca's titillated by a little bit of it. She's
Yeah,
that is
listen,
true.
and let me tell you
Yeah.
something.
That is true.
I have never related to Rebecca more. I was like, yes, like that is the appeal of wrestling, right? Like, and I myself have always found wrestling to be very homoerotic.
Push that button.
I don't know which one I'm supposed to push.
Bam, bam.
You want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves?
Yay!
I didn't mean to push that one. Oh my God.
Do you want a sedative to be untitillated?
to calm down? You need to calm down. No,
I bet your
because
sexy
like
Rebecca music.
I just like 2 men oiled up, pushing, grabbing, throwing, getting a rough with one another. I mean, come
on top of each
on.
other.
Yeah, just like embraced,
Yeah, you
right?
know,
Like
yeah.
at as close as 2 people can get, like
Yeah.
intimately intertwined with
Yeah.
one another. I think it's so gay.
So you're not.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And they're like ripped, fine, thick men. Oh,
you can smell what they are cooking.
I want to smell what they're cooking. Come to my house and cook, please.
Yeah.
And I mean
And it's all
in the kitchen and in the bedroom. That's what I mean.
purposely done that way because unless I'm revealing something people don't know, wrestling is scripted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get to a joke about that. I was gonna be like, "You're not in it for the storyline."
I'm not. I'm in it for the plot, but the plot is the rippling
Yeah.
pectorals,
The thick
right?
plot.
Like I'm in it.
The thick plot.
I'm in it for
the plot
the
that thickens.
I'm in it for the plot that thickens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The plot that grows, not shows,
Yeah.
if you know what I
Again,
mean.
yeah.
In those little tidy whities.
All right. So we're gonna move on to Magic and talk about why is Julian
Yes.
on
Yes.
TV wrestling. So here we go. All right, so we pick up with Timmy and Tabitha, Timmy and Julian. I'm so used to saying
Such a
Timmy
weird-
and Tabitha.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But we pick up with Timmy and Julian at that Wonderland Hotel or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the Tin Man is attacking them with a chainsaw because Zombie Charity had sent the Scarecrow, and Julian defeated him with a cigar, right?
Yes.
Set him on fire. And now she sent this Tin Man with the chainsaw, and meanwhile, Tabitha's like watching all of this through the scroll, right? Julian says to the Tin Man, "You only want him, right?"
Yeah.
He's like,
It's-
"You're just
yeah.
trying to kill the little one, right?" And the Tin Man's like, "That's right."
Yeah.
And Julian abandons him. He
Yes.
runs
I
off.
know.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Damn, Julian."
Yeah.
I was.
I
But
know.
Julian pretty quickly returns.
And I
Yes.
I thought he left.
I thought so too.
Me
I
too.
really thought he pulled a Julian. I'm
Yeah.
like, yep, Julian, one man for himself.
Cause why would he say that? Why would
Yeah.
he ask that? But yeah, he returns pretty quickly, and all we see is the Tin Man like fall to pieces, and then it zooms up to Julian, and he's got an electric can opener.
Which is hysterical.
Yes.
It was great.
So I just there's so much to talk about. I have this memory burned in my brain, very similar to when Tabitha danced to Brick House at the dance with Timmy. Like I remember watching this with my mom and laughing so hard because he's holding up that can opener and he's like, "Another one bites the dust," and they're
it's
playing
playing like
the song.
dum,
Yeah.
dum, dum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah.
And I was just
Yes.
so proud of Julian. I'm
Yeah.
like, he came back.
He came
Yes.
back. I was glad that he
Yes.
came back, and it was so funny
Yes.
with him
Yeah.
holding up that can.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Because it's the Tin Man.
Yeah.
Yes, it was great. It was great. And because in The Wizard of Oz, that's like when they get caught by the Wicked Witch of the West, that's like how she's threatening them, right? She threatened the Scarecrow with fire, and she threatened him with like a can opener. Basically, it was like a giant can opener.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's pretty funny.
That was funny.
Tabitha says something like, "Whoever thought Julian Crane could be so noble?"
Yeah.
So yeah, she was happy that
Yeah, I was happy he came
yeah.
back. I love seeing these two interact.
this storyline is one that I remember so much
Yes.
for so many reasons.
Though
but
I did forget that Timmy had a Dorothy outfit on.
I did not remember that
I
at
did
all.
not
I
remember
did not.
that at
I
all.
I don't know why I didn't remember that because I so clearly remember Julian being dressed as the cowardly lion.
Which is very Julian because
yes.
he's very
It's
cowardly.
Perfect.
But it just it yeah, I did not remember him as in the Dorothy costume.
Yeah.
I did not remember that.
So, Timmy.
I never was a fan of heavy metal.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
he
so many
says
good
that. He did
lines.
say that. Timmy thanks Julian, right?
Yeah.
He thought,
All his heart.
yeah, with all his heart. It was very sweet. And then these Munchkin women come in and start to flirt with Julian. And he says to them,
I'm so happy I caught myself.
You-
I almost was gonna spit
you
out
have
my
to say
water.
this line. You have to say in the
I'm
Julian
ready.
voice, I'm
Oh, I
thirsty
do.
for something short and wet.
I almost sprayed everybody just a little while ago. I'm so happy I caught myself. I guess they call them munchkins, but I thought they were poppies at first, but then I was like, no, I'm combining multiple musicals. He said something like, "We like them big and tall," the poppies tell Julian. And he's like, "Oh, then you just hit pay dirt. I'm thirsty for something short and wet."
Ugh.
The
It was
amount
I was
of
disgusted by
uncomfortable
him.
I was throughout
Yeah.
the whole. Like I wanted to just I couldn't watch. It was just
And
gross.
these-
Like what are we? This is
Yeah.
daytime television.
Yeah,
What are
so-
we doing?
Well, he gets led
And
away
in
by
front
these
of
women.
Timmy,
Yeah.
who, yes, we do know that the actor is a full-grown adult. I'm like
Yeah.
in front of the child.
Yeah.
But the character is like a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are four. There's three of them.
Three of
so
them.
that's why I made that threesome joke at the top of the show. But it made me laugh because he says, "I've always been up for new experiences." Emphasis on up.
Okay, Julian.
Yeah.
You can take the Crane out of Harmony, but you can't take the Crane out of Julian.
Yeah.
No, but apparently the Crane wants to be in everything.
Yeah.
Little Julian.
Little
Yep.
Julian. What would Rebecca say? See, and the
That
funny
is
thing
so
is that if
funny.
Rebecca was there, she'll just join them.
Yeah. She would have
Yeah,
been
she
into
would've
it.
Part of it.
She would have been into it.
Yeah.
For sure. So he gets led away by them to go off and have his little sexcapade with
So
them.
uncomfortable.
And then Timmy looks around for the wizard and finds him almost immediately.
Yeah.
No, but I love how the
Yeah.
whole time he's flirting with the Munchkins, he kept saying, "The wizard," to Julian to remind him we need to stay on track. Stop. And he just kept saying, "The wizard."
Yeah.
Nope, Julian doesn't care.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Timmy found him real fast, like you said. They did the whole bit of like, don't look at that man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
They did the
Yeah, and
whole
Toto
thing.
pulled the
Toto
curtain
pulled-
and
Yes,
did the whole
everything
thing.
exactly the same.
They did the whole bit, yes.
Yeah.
And so then the wizard is like, I can't help you, I can't help you, I can't help you. But Timmy then mentions Tabitha.
Yeah.
And the wizard's like, oh, why didn't you tell me you were friends with Tabitha? And he's like, well, I didn't know you knew Tabitha. He's like,
Yeah.
of course I do. We go way back.
Yeah.
He's like, let me just check my crystal ball and we can see what Tabitha's up to and what's going on with her, right? So they go look in the crystal ball and it is, I was hoping
That this was
against hope
Uh-huh.
that it was going to be like a phone call because she's looking at them through the scroll,
Yeah.
right? So she's seeing what's happening in real time.
Yeah.
But what they see in the ball is just Tabitha going, I wish I knew where my Timmy was. I'm worried sick.
It was Auntie-M.
It was
Right,
Annie
yeah.
M. But I was hoping that they would do like, oh, they can talk to each other now.
That would have been
Yeah.
nice.
That would have been better.
Because
Yeah.
we're being robbed of something, and we know what's going to happen, but I'm being robbed of moments that I would
Yeah.
like to see more of.
Yeah. So he's like, I gotta get back. I gotta finish this quest and get back to Tabitha so she won't be worried anymore. So he gives Timmy a map because Timmy's trying to find this demon horn, right? And he gives Timmy this map to find the demon horn, but he warns him that it might cost him his life. And Timmy says it's worth it because the zombie charity is a threat to everyone in Harmony, his princess included. So if it costs him his life, it costs him his life.
And he's doing it for the love of his life. He's doing it for charity.
And Timmy is the most noble character on the show. Timmy is the most honest, the most like, I don't know. I just love him. And you know, the thing about Timmy is he's not necessarily, we don't pick up with him being smart, but he learns.
No. And that's the other thing I was about to chime in on is that he has evolved so much, not just because he literally transformed from a doll into a human being,
Right.
but actually like he was assisting Tabitha at the top of all of this. Like he was a minion at the beginning. He was trying to help Tabitha take care of these bad things. And then little by little, Timmy slowly starts to realize like he doesn't like doing these hurtful things to the people of Harmony. Like he can't stand it. And then he grapples with love, not just for charity, but for Tabitha as well. Like he grows feelings. And so it's this is rough. It's rough.
Yeah. And we gotta enjoy it while we can.
Yes,
That's what we gotta enjoy it while we can. So he's like, I will do this. I'm gonna do this quest, even if it costs me my life. Right? I'm gonna save everybody in Harmony from the zombie charity. And thank you, somebody's got to do it. Oh my god, because I'm so sick of her.
Yeah.
So at this point, Julian catches back up with Timmy after his little
great
escapade
here as well.
Hysterical.
Go for it.
Him coming out all like afterglow and all, and you have the song "In the Jungle," the mighty jungle playing in the background. It was so hysterical. Yeah. And then, but what's really got me was that he was mad that Timmy left. Like, what? He's gonna wait around until you finish getting your rocks off?
You're supposed to just sit outside the door and listen.
Yeah.
He says, I haven't been on a trip like that since the 70s. And then when Timmy comes back in, they're talking about, he's like, I saw the wizard, all of this. He's talking about zombie charity again. And Julian's like, Timmy is no stranger to LSD himself, I guess. Like he just thinks that Timmy was high also. So,
he then meets the wizard as well, who tells him that he's like, oh, you're Julian Crane. I know of you. And then he tells him, I saw in my crystal ball someone strapped to a gurney being executed for your murder. This pleases Julian. He's like, all right. Soon I'll be able to go home.
And he's keeping all of that from Timmy as well. Like,
He doesn't want Timmy to know that, especially about the Theresa of it all specifically.
Honestly, he I don't know if he knows this of Timmy's character, but Timmy would do something to try and save Theresa at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
Like he would have either tried to find a phone and called the Lopez Fitzgeralds, or he probably would have tried to tell Tabitha, but Tabitha would have been like, "Hey, no, focus on you.
It's not our business."
And I don't care. I don't care if Theresa lives or dies.
And not to actually come back to the Theresa storyline, but I just thought about it. No, not in a bad way. No. In an inquisitive kind of way, because remember the whole plan she was following was Julian's to get Ethan back. And here we are. We're on death row. How's that plan working for you?
Yeah. I keep saying that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to the deal?
Well, you know what it is? You know what it is though? Okay. I agree 100% because they just kind of let that go.
Yeah.
And I guess my thinking on it is with Theresa is that once she saw that tape of Ethan, it like superseded all her dealings with the devil.
But my ass would have been like, hey, not that I ever gonna do anything like that, but like, wouldn't you be like, hey, where are you?
Julian.
Come on, yeah, I need help. Like but. Yeah, and Zombie Charity does not care about that right now.
Exactly.
It's really driving me crazy.
Well, because she sucks.
Yeah, her priorities are all over the place.
She's so terrible
we're happy that she sucks and is bad at her job, because then the whole town will be dead.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess. I guess I am glad she's not great at her job, but come on, girl.
Yeah.
Come on, I guess.
And with Tabitha's powers.
I think what it is too is that this has gone on for so long and she has accomplished absolutely nothing.
But then again, that's what I'm saying. Like you said, you've said it in a couple podcasts that I haven't been on. I've been listening, and it makes me laugh that you're like, give Tabitha her powers back.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, I just had a thought. Then again, maybe this was Zombie Charity's plan with Theresa. Think about it.
Yeah.
On Zombie Charity, yeah. Great job. You're about to get Theresa killed. But on Theresa's part,
That's what I'm saying. Like, how is
this
Theresa
the
not
plan?
Yeah, how
Julian?
is this
to
the
reach
plan?
out? Call that
And
death.
Julian, you couldn't have like maybe said something when we were in hell about who killed you, and it was actually Ethan.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
She's not thinking.
Okay, but back to magic. I just
Yeah.
Back to
just
ma-
thought about that, but it's involved with magic. So
yeah, it is. It is part of magic. Yeah, and I have been like, what are we doing with this? What are we doing with this? But yeah, they gave it up.
Yeah.
And so where are we?
They're riding in the back of a pickup.
Okay, yeah,
But
Timmy.
it just cuts out of the Wizard of Oz theme so
and Julian
fast.
does also find out that is Theresa.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of this is about to happen. So
Okay, yeah.
they leave that hotel. They go off with this map on this journey. And for some reason they wanted to turn around and go back to the hotel. Do you remember why they wanted to do that?
I was so confused.
And when they turned back, the yellow brick road was gone.
That-
the hotel,
yeah.
they actually went back and the hotel was gone.
Yeah.
I cannot for the life
Does
of
that
me
mean that
remember
Zombie
why they
Charity's
wanted
just
to go
not
back.
focus? Like, and it went away?
But I don't think that wasn't Zombie
That
Charity's
wasn't her.
doing.
Okay.
No, I think that was just some random,
Weird.
like there's just random pockets of magic in this world, right?
That's
because
true.
Tabitha exists
Yeah.
and we've met other people in this world, like
Yeah.
Hecuba,
Yeah.
there's just random pockets of
They just
magic.
happened to find one.
Yeah. And
Or Timmy might be like a magnet.
and he's
for
like
this shit.
touched. Yeah. He's touched by an angel, right? And he's touched by the dark side and touched by
Yeah.
an angel, so he can
Yeah.
kind of like navigate in that
Yeah.
world, right? So, yeah, they're wandering around, and then Timmy suggests that they take the bus
Oh, yeah.
to
That
get to
was
somewhere,
funny.
and he's
Yeah.
like, why don't we just take the bus? And Julian's like, a bus.
Julian Crane has never been on a bus.
And Timmy says the correct thing, which is it'd be faster than walking. It's
Yeah.
better than
Yeah.
walking. But then they discover that that's why they went back. Julian's wallet was gone. The Munchkins
Oh,
had
yes.
the,
Oh,
the
I
Munchkin
remember
women
now.
robbed him.
Yes.
And I love them for that.
Yeah.
And I will say, I do still feel uncomfortable calling them Munchkins.
I do.
I'm
I'm sorry too.
I
I'm-
always
so
call
sorry.
it Munchkins because
Because
that's
they're
what
characters
the
of
characters
Munchkins.
of
Yes.
Munchkins.
But that,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm not
I-
calling them like
No. Yes.
No. I know you're not saying.
Oh,
any of
okay.
the
I
No.
was like,
It
I
just
get
kind of
it.
feels because I don't even know if Wizard of Oz would use that term anymore.
Yeah,
would they?
I don't know.
I'm,
Somebody
I
can
think
educate us
it's-
too. If
well,
you'd
we'll
like,
see. The
but-
Wicked movie's coming out. Do they call them Munchkins in the Wicked movie?
Well, in
I
the
think
Wicked-
they do.
well,
they
he
call them
is
Munchkins in
because
Wicked.
Bach
is
is
a
a
Munchkin
Munchkin from
because they're from
Munchkin
Munchkin
Land.
Land.
Munchkin Land. That's right. That's
Yes,
right.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. We care. That's what I'm trying to say.
no,
Is
we
we
care.
do care.
I want to make sure.
Yeah, we care.
I want to
Yeah.
be sensitive.
Yes,
because
yes.
it's a dated show, and sometimes at that
Well, it's-
time might
it's
not
the
have
same thing with
been
us.
considered.
Yeah, talking
Yeah.
about Ivy. Like, I want people to know, like, it's
About the wheelchair.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
About Ivy. Like, we care about these things. It's
Yeah.
not that, and yes.
Yeah.
With that said, Julian does recognize that his wallet was stolen. To which he says, "I have a good mind to report those Munchkins to the Wicked Witch, the West, and have them drop a house on those harlots."
Yeah.
And then Timmy's like, "It wasn't the Wicked Witch that did that. Dorothy landed the house on," and so it's just funny.
Yeah. So that's why they decide to go back the way they
Yes.
came to try and find Julian's wallet, but the hotel is
Yes.
gone. That is
There
what
it is.
happens
That's what
there.
it was.
So then they catch a ride on a nearby poultry truck,
Yeah.
and Julian keeps getting hit in the head with eggs,
Yeah.
and the egg keeps just like sliding down
Timmy's
on his
giggling.
face. Yeah,
Yeah.
Timmy's cracking up. There's like newspaper lining the bed of this truck, and Julian finds one that has the headline about Theresa
Yeah.
being on death row or whatever,
For
being
his murder.
convicted for his murder. And so he's like, "Oh, it was my little Teresita."
Again, now remind me. I think I solved this on the subway over here, but Julian never saw his killer. I thought he did at the end when he was hanging on, but maybe I was wrong.
He doesn't. They've made it clear to us that he doesn't know who
Okay,
did
got
it.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
I
they've
know
made it
who
clear
it
to us.
is, and we don't need to say that, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that so he didn't know. Okay. Yeah, he says he's going to stay in hiding until that Taco Bell is executed.
I saw, yeah.
Yeah.
So then Timmy asks Julian, like, do you have any skills that you can use
Yeah,
to
'cause
make
we ain't got
money,
no
man?
money.
Yeah, we got no money.
And Julian has none. He's like, well, I was on the wrestling team at
There's a
Harvard.
water polo. And Timmy's like, how's that going to help us? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. He's like, I could be a short order cook again. And they remember how he set that on fire.
Yeah.
So Timmy's
Yeah.
like, I think I found something in the newspaper.
And Timmy's like, he sees something. He says, this is our stop. And then they jump off the moving truck. Like, it's
Yeah.
moving. And Julian's like, what? And he's like, yeah, we got to go.
Yeah.
And they jump off this moving truck. Tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll.
And they get to, couldn't tell what the first word of it was, but Wrestling Federation. It's some
Yeah.
kind of wrestling federation. But did y'all see
I
the
didn't
first
see
word?
it.
No.
I couldn't tell what it was either.
I mean, at the time, there was the World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah,
so
but
the
that-
WWF.
This was like the PWF. So I can't remember
They
what
probably
the
had to do it
word
for
was.
that trademark reasons.
Yeah. So they go in, Timmy goes and signs Julian up
Yeah.
to be a wrestler. And Julian has to go through with it basically because the owner or whatever says
Yeah.
that this contract is ironclad nonsense, but whatever. Julian has to go through with it.
Yeah.
And so he's the masked CEO,
The
which we
masked
talked about
CEO.
a minute ago, right?
But
He's
did
the
you
masked
guys
CEO.
Recognize
Oh, yeah.
Timmy's dressed up as
outfit?
Don,
Don
King.
Don King.
And he looks so funny.
that wig is almost as tall as he is.
Hilarious.
I think on the Passions reunion, they talked about how much he loved movies and how much he loved
Yes.
being an actor, and that this stuff actually made him really happy.
Yeah.
like that's what I remember. Right? You
Yes,
remember?
no,
I know
it
we've all
was
seen
his
it,
passion.
but
No
yeah,
pun
that he
intended.
loved,
Yeah.
That he loved
dressing up,
dressing
and
up and all that.
acting
And
out
doing the
these
different
movie
characters,
things.
yeah.
So he was literally
like to
being able
imagine-
to live out his dream doing this show.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm happy about that, because this could so easily be so. I mean, like being an actor, you're asked to do so many things, and like really like things that could feel degrading. But it makes me happy that the two of them were
did Ben
probably having
Masters
fun.
enjoy wearing a lion's costume?
And I sit there and I go, I hope that the two of them had a lot of fun doing this
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, and I hope that they enjoyed this time together, because it is they're so funny.
They are.
Yeah.
So they go to the ring.
Yeah.
By the way, the prize money is only $200.
Which
To Julian is nothing, but he has nothing at this
Yeah.
point,
Has
right?
nothing.
So
Which did he have cash?
Hmm?
Like,
I
was he
think he had
using
to, because
Crane
if he
credit
couldn't
cards?
use-
he
Because
couldn't be
then-
using the credit card.
Yeah, because that was
Yeah.
just like another sign that Alistair, like, is Alistair like helping him out? Like, I don't
No,
know.
Alistair flat out told him he was on his own.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Just
Alistair
double-checking.
told him.
So Alistair knows.
Yes,
I always knew
Alistair
Alistair
knows.
knew.
So now they have to. Julian's gonna have to fight. He's
Yeah.
gonna.
Yes.
He's the masked CEO. He's been. He's gotten dressed up in a suit with a little mask that goes over his eyes.
Yes.
Mr. Incredible or the Incredibles mask.
Well,
It's
no,
just
yeah,
like-
I was
Yeah.
gonna call him Tuxedo Mask. Did you ever
Oh,
watch
yeah,
Sailor
yeah.
Moon?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a poor man's old, rickety, horrible,
Tuxedo mask.
unsexy tuxedo mask. If
And
you-
much like Tuxedo Mask, Julian gets nothing accomplished.
oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, nothing. He probably would have done better if he was on The Masked Singer.
No, there you go. Oh, that would
Yeah.
oh my God. If they made the show today and he was in hiding, he would totally be on the Masked Singer.
That would be funny.
That
yeah,
would've been-
that
and
would
then
be
when
so
they
funny.
reveal him, they just find a way to like not show who he is.
So
Yeah.
he gets introduced as the robber baron of the new millennium, the boss employees love to hate, the masked CEO, and he comes out and the crowd's just like boo, and
Yeah.
they're throwing shit at him.
And
Because he's going up
Yeah.
against the
the dog, yeah, and they're throwing stuff at him. He's like, oh, it's a bourgeois nightmare or something like that. It was so funny. It's the nightmare of the bourgeois or something like that, and it was so funny. Even though like he's the ruling class,
Yeah.
he's not bourgeois. But
And-
anyway,
and for anyone that is like a fan of Star Trek that watches this show also, when they start to fight, that sound clip, that is the original sound clip used that during Kirk fighting the Gorn.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And also when he fights Spock. So
I-
like the composer was done for Star Trek.
And if
so.
you don't have that, but if you want to remember Cable Guy, Matthew Broderick and Jim Carrey fight, and that's the music that plays.
Yeah.
That's what he's singing to.
Oh, that's
Remember,
funny.
he's obsessed with
Yeah.
television, so he's like.
But it originally is from Star Trek. So
Yes,
for all my
yes.
Star Trek fans.
Nice.
us.
I love when
That's
y'all pick up
great.
little
Way to
things like
go.
that.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember where it was from. I knew
Yes.
it, and I'm happy that this is why we have a panel.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, he gets into the ring with the dog, and then they play "Who Let the Dogs Out?"
Wow.
Who. They played that, and Julian gets his ass kicked for a
Yeah.
while.
Of
For a
course.
while, and I loved it. I was like, "Yeah, keep beating that ass."
Again, and it is funny to think that Ivy and Rebecca are watching this
Yes,
unfold.
yes.
Eventually, they do turn it off, but like it's just funny to think on the
Yeah.
other side of this is Ivy and Rebecca are watching it.
So that's kind of where we leave it with Timmy and Julian. Like they're having this fight. Meanwhile, we need to talk about what's going on with Miguel and Kay and Charity and all that. Miguel and Kay show up to Tabitha's house, ring the doorbell because they're looking for Charity.
Yeah.
Because, reminder, Charity just left Miguel in that graveyard by himself, right? Like passed out. And so
Yeah.
Miguel's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
like,
he's mad.
where did you fucking
Yeah.
go?
Yes.
And I don't remember anything. What happened, right? And so Charity, zombie obviously, tells him some lie about what happened at the graveyard. Oh, you were just so tired and you were so out of it and I didn't want to bother you. Okay, girl.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is not something that I would be able to get past if I was Miguel. Like, you just
No.
left me passed out in a graveyard.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. You just don't do that to your person. Like
No.
Yeah,
a
you'll do it to
let alone
anybody.
any place to anybody.
Yeah.
Let alone a graveyard, and that's your
Right?
person.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so weird. So they all go for a walk, and they're out walking near the cave where real Charity is frozen. And zombie Charity starts to make her move on Miguel again. She's like putting him under the trance again,
Yes.
that whole thing.
The
But
drums start up
the
again.
drums start up again, but she notices water on the ground,
Yes.
and it's like trickling down, and so she sends him to the car to get some blankets. She's like, well, I'm a little cold. Will you give me a blanket? He's like, in this heat? And she's like, yeah, I get maybe I'm coming down with a cold. So he goes off. And then zombie Charity points out to Kay, of all people. I don't know why she would point it out to Kay, but she's like, the real Charity is melting. Look
Yeah.
at the water.
She says, "Little Miss Popsicle can't defeat me."
No.
That was
Yeah.
funny. But
Yeah. And so,
well, yeah, because Kay, the reason she says that is because Kay's like, good, somebody can finally, like, I know that Charity has powers. She'll probably kick your ass.
she
Yeah.
says, I think Charity just might be the only person who can defeat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
But
really
I
like
thought
the end of
this
them.
Ice
Yeah.
was magic. So why is it melting?
I think it is magic, but I think Charity is also magic. And I also remember that anytime Miguel got close to that cave,
Her
the
hands-
ice would start to
her-
melt.
She would
That
warm
is
up.
also
It's
Yeah.
the it's the power of love.
Yeah.
It's her heart warming
That's
up.
the
yeah.
story of.
That's the story of love. Okay, so
That's it.
that's it for them. Moving
Yep.
on to these people over here on this island, Diana and Brian.
Emotional damage.
They're
That is
just-
that's funny. Yeah.
They're terrible. So let's see what's going on.
It is because literally my first note is Brian and Diana are gross.
Yeah.
So gross. Everybody in this
And I
storyline.
feel bad for any fans that are shipping them because they have to listen.
Nobody's
to us,
shipping them.
but
Nobody's
that would
shipping
be so
them.
funny if
I would
somebody.
love to hear from you and see if you can convince me.
Me too.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
You-
If
one
you're
day-
out there.
That
If
one
you're out
day
there.
that you get that 1-star rating from that.
No, it's
one-
this. It's this. It's me railing against Antonio and Sheridan together for sure.
Someone would have the nerve to be like, "I'll show this podcast."
I don't think I've talked more shit about anybody more than Antonio. I think I feel like I have not let up on him.
Yeah, and that's
No.
fine.
I have not let
Because
up
he
on
says
him. I
something
do not
weird
like
here,
him.
too. I mean, he says a lot of.
He's a
weird
weirdo.
stuff,
We're gonna
but-
speed run
yeah.
this though, because I'm starving. So
Yeah, Nick
what's
is collecting evidence.
yeah, Nick is on a boat doing better detective work than Sam and Luis have ever done on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah. Oh
my
like
God, yeah.
yeah.
No one has helped
They
Diana.
need to get Nick on trying to find
Who ran over Simone?
Grace's past.
Oh.
Grace's past, Simone, who ran over Simone, who killed Crystal. Who burned down Orville's house?
Who burned down
hit
the
Orville
Lopez
with their
Fitzgerald's
car?
house?
Who hit Orville with their car? Who burned down the
Who shot Julian?
Who
Who
shot
shot
Julian?
Julian?
All of these mysteries, unsolved mysteries.
Give
The
it to Nick.
epicenter of unsolved mysteries is in
Yeah.
Harmony.
Perhaps someone out there is watching. Perhaps that someone is Nick.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, he's like found all of this evidence. He found a story from a French newspaper, Le Figaro. That's what it is, Le Figaro.
It's just the way she's trying to
I'm
speak
happy
through
that
it.
you drank your water. I was like, I'm in the splash zone.
Le Figaro. And the headline, the headline was, y'all want me to do it in French?
Please,
Yes, please.
Omelette au fromage.
Omelette du fromage. No. Sheridan crème pour suivi par Toug. So it's Sheridan crème pour suivi par Toug. I can't even get it out. Pour suivi par Toug. That's how you say it. But that means that she was like chased by thugs,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
But then they say that the newspaper article is about her death. It's like she wasn't chased by thugs. She was blown up on a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Anyway, they then also find an engagement announcement for Sheridan and Louise and whatever. Nick then jumps to like this crazy.
He's got a plan.
He himself is on a Theresa Looney loop. I want to
Yeah.
be clear.
Yeah.
No, he is. He's delusional.
Yeah.
If he thinks he's gonna help Diana kind of figure out who she is and take her from Brian, but also keep her away from Louise. What
Yeah,
are you
it
talking
makes no
about? And
sense.
marry her?
Yeah,
You think
yeah.
she's
There's
gonna
two-
marry you?
yeah.
He thinks she's gonna marry him.
No.
Yeah.
What also makes it funny is that it's like, oh yeah, she comes from money. We can tell by how she was spending all that money. Spending, she was gambling, and you were
Yeah.
coercing her
Yeah, that
into
was-
it.
th- I
How
just-
many people are in horrible gambling debt and they are poor, right? Like
Yeah.
from poor places. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's ridiculous. But yeah, he's scheming to kill Brian and marry Sheridan
Yeah.
and never let her find out about Louise somehow. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because we don't even know how her memories, if they came back, how it would work for her.
Right.
Like, what is she gonna do when she gets her? Like, if she finds out she's Sheridan Crane, what does that do?
Well,
Yeah.
and my thing is, I could understand to an extent if his plan was kind of like what his earlier plan was to like get rid of Brian and be with Diana.
Yeah.
But he wants to get at Sheridan's trust fund,
And-
which means he has to
Yeah.
jog her memory about who
Yeah.
she is. Otherwise, he can't get access to her trust
Also,
fund.
we have already had a pilot of this program because Ivy's doing it on the other side, and David came back, and Grace does not remember anything because, first of all, she wouldn't remember anything.
Right.
But second, there is no. I mean, yeah, there's a slow burn of maybe she likes David, but it has not bared any fruit.
Right.
So
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but at least with Grace and David, they're falling for each other in
Yeah.
a sense.
Yeah.
So that would be Nick's best
That-
bet
yeah.
was just to get her to fall in love with him so that if she does find out about Louise, maybe there's a conflict.
I will
Yeah.
say, if he played up, I'm supporting you. Maybe that could work because she's gotten no support
Yeah.
from Antonio whatsoever.
It could really work. I think the angle of I know who you
I'm
are.
gonna help you figure this out because no one has helped her figure
especially,
it out.
you know how I don't know if y'all know this. Do y'all watch Catfish at all?
I used
No.
Okay, here's what Catfish does. The producers know exactly who the catfish is.
Yeah.
Neve does not know. The person who's doing like the
Oh,
investigation.
okay.
Neve has no clue.
Okay.
Like, and he does the investigation. So Nick could in a way. He knows who Sheridan is, but he can pretend not to know and help her through this investigation
that's
and
the-
find all these little things
That's the
along the
smart way to
way.
do it.
But they're all stupid. They're all so stupid. So, my next note is conversation about Brian racing. I don't care.
Nope.
Then
Oh,
yeah.
you mean the other woman?
Oh yeah, that was
this
weird.
is so stupid. So, we're not there yet because Liz gives Brian a message from somebody named Greg Foreman who has a car for him to race.
Does Greg Foreman name all his kids?
Greg Foreman. Greg Foreman has a
Good one.
car for Brian to race, and Brian says that I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I got that mixed up. Greg Foreman says he has no car, does not have a car for Brian to race. Because Liz was so excited to give him the news, which for Brian is kind of like bad news, but for her it's good news, right?
Yeah.
That
'Cause
he
will
can't
be
race.
racing.
Right. And so he's like, well, that's okay. I have more owners that I can call. And I just need to win one race and then I'll be done. One and done. Right. And then we get some more amnesia stuff. I don't care. Yeah. She talks about how maybe her family didn't love her. You're on to something there.
Yeah.
Brian then gets another call from another owner who does have a car for him to race. And Brian is very excited, but the ladies are concerned, especially Liz. Liz says the exact right thing. She's like, how the hell did he learn about you so fast? Mm-hmm. Like, how did he know you just started making calls? And to which Brian retorts, who cares? So Brian then assures Diana that he's gonna win this race. It'll be a breeze, and that he needs to go meet with the owner tonight. And Liz, she gets on my nerves. Stand up, girl, stand up. Yeah. Liz offers to fly him over to the island to meet with him. She's like, well, I want to just go and make sure everything's on the up and up. Girl, I know you love him, quote, quote, but let it go.
Yeah.
At this point, he doesn't love you.
Love
No.
And never will.
And he's bringing his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it's not you.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, oh, okay, thanks. Thanks a lot, buddy. And so meanwhile,
once again, he's also skirting his responsibilities of work.
Yeah.
For her.
100%. And so meanwhile, we learn that Nick was the one who called this owner, and he plans to sabotage the car so that Brian will die in the race. Yeah. So this is all a scheme that Todd set up. Y'all not gonna you get the reference?
What?
A scheme that Todd set up?
No.
It's a scheme that Todd set up to come to you with the bullshit. The Real Housewives of Atlanta,
got it.
whatever. And maybe it's a scheme that Todd set up, and it's a scheme that Nick set up, right? Yeah. So, they all go over to meet with this owner at his garage.
Not before Liz cooks them dinner. So
oh my God! Like I said,
everything for them, and is cooking them dinner. The waitress.
I was disgusted. I was disgusted.
Honest,
I didn't even put it in my notes because I was so disgusted. Because
I just put it down as like she's cooking for them too.
Diana looks at Liz, is like, "Oh, this was amazing. You have to teach me how to cook, bitch." I'm just so sick of her.
That was the best use of the word bitch.
Yes.
I have heard in a long time.
And it's the hangry that's kicking in too.
Yeah. I don't know if it got out of the lens of the camera, y'all. The bitch had an emphasis with a hand motion.
You have to teach me how to cook. I just can't stand. You know what it is. Liz is such a capable, smart woman. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I hate that she is letting herself be so debased.
I know.
But on top of that, the dynamic between her and Diana just being so fucking helpless and useless all the time is frustrating because similarly to like how we talked about how Timmy wasn't like necessarily the smartest, but he learns he learns lessons and he grows and he changes. This Diana bitch, she doesn't learn any lessons. She can't learn. She seems, I don't know.
Sheridan herself would hate this girl.
Sheridan would hate her.
Sheridan is able to do so much. Yeah. And is very capable.
Yeah. So anyway, let's finish this up. Yeah. So then they all go to a bar once they get over to the island or whatever, talk to the garage owner. Liz is skeptical of the garage owner, but nobody's going to listen to her, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So then some lady walks over and full on kisses Brian on the mouth.
Oh yeah.
And was like, I knew I'd know the back of your head anywhere. And she just kisses him on the mouth. And then we find out that this woman is married with children. What are you doing walking around kissing people on the mouth?
Yes.
And you're married with children. Like, I thought she was just an old girlfriend who
That's what I thought.
And she was an old girlfriend, but I thought she was still single.
Yeah.
No, she's a married woman. And then she tells Diana, "You're one lucky lady. You don't let this one get away." It's like, oh, well, you did. Why'd you let him get away?
I'll be honest, I'm really good at doing a thorough watch. I did not thoroughly watch these
No.
sections. I apologize.
You didn't miss much.
You didn't miss anything.
I
You
watched
didn't
the
miss
things that
much.
upset me, and I have those written down. But
Yeah, no.
That's all that happened with them,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
Beth and Louise
neither
and the little
Diana
conversation
or
they had.
Liz seemed that
Yeah.
phased that this other third woman just showed
just-
up and kissed them.
I just want to do this for the people who hate Antonio. I just want to quote, make sure that this quotation gets it on the podcast. At one point, Sheridan says, "The water was warm and wonderful," to which he says, "You're warm and wonderful."
I'm cutting it. It's cut. That's done. It's cut. Ugh, I hate him. Let's talk about Beth and Louise and wrap this up. So
No, and then Liz had to sit and listen to this too.
Yeah, that's the
Like,
thing. Yeah.
no. All right.
He's horrible. Horrible.
I'll say this before we go into Louise.
We have
real quick,
to
real quick,
move
real quick.
on.
Is this? I like this idea that Alistair is watching his kids be dumbasses out there, like just like they're dumb asses out there, and Alistair's like, whatever, fuck them. Let's talk about
He
Beth
sucks.
and Louise.
Tell me about Beth and Louise. They had because literally all I wrote is Beth and
Oh,
Louise
yeah.
have a conversation. That is my note.
They're looking at photos and they're going through it. I thought they were going to do this moment where he sees a photo of Sheridan and it was
Me
going to make
too.
it awkward. That's
Yeah.
not what happens.
Nope.
They're looking at photos of Theresa, really more focusing on Theresa, which is correct. This is where they should be.
Yeah.
But he realizes, he comes to this conclusion, like, I spent way too much of my time with my family, like taking care of my family. I had to. He's like, and that might have been my mistake. To which Beth is like, mistake? Like, this is the first time that he's really saying, like, they always acknowledge that Luis was too focused on his family, but he himself is saying, I could have had it all. I could have already been like married and had kids with you at this point if I had just given you the time and attention that I think you probably deserved.
Yeah.
And it's everything Beth wants to hear. I mean,
Yeah.
this is it. Now he does say something like, I'm going to make, like he alludes to like making a commitment or like taking it to the next step.
Yeah, he says
or
we
doing
need to
something.
take. It
Yeah.
seems that he's ready to propose to her
That-
Yeah.
because
yeah.
he said to her, "I should have married
Yes,
you."
yeah.
Yes.
Right. So we're having the marriage
It
talk
sounds
without
like
having
we
the
are.
marriage talk.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go there. He just
They get interrupted by Hank.
yes,
Yeah.
and Hank, because he never made any declaration after that, and so Hank comes in and
Yeah.
cock blocks.
Hank comes in, and then Luis goes like to check on his mother or something. Beth and Hank have a little bit of a conversation, and then Beth's like, "Well, I got to get home to mother. It's time for her feeding."
Yeah.
And this is where
Yeah.
we're starting to get drop
then-
hints of.
Yes,
And then Hank's going through the picture. Now, this is so good. Hank's going through the picture. He's like, God, I could have sworn there was a picture of Sheridan in here. And it cuts to Beth holding the picture. She took the picture out.
And it wasn't just a picture of Sheridan.
It's Sheridan and Louise. Yeah.
together.
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
she
yeah.
took that out and is like, "You're not coming back, Sheridan.
Oh,
You're
I did
gone,
see
and I'm
this.
here."
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
This is
we're
now
getting
we're
our
starting
crazy
to get
Beth.
our little bit of crazy Beth.
Which
Yeah.
I noticed that my Luis Lopez Fitzgerald wig is actually a Beth wig.
I
Yes.
thought that.
Yeah.
I thought that's funny.
So get ready for Beth to make
Oh,
an
good,
appearance.
good.
Because all I need is a white shirt and a tie, and I have those things.
And get your Wallace.
I'll find the Edna
your-
Wallace wig.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Get ready.
can age
that
myself.
is it
Yeah.
for today.
That's
All right. Where can everybody find you, Eric?
Hey, I am Mr. Eric Vetta on everything. Go check out Ivy and Rebecca in Death Becomes Her on Broadway if you get a
Yes.
chance.
Yeah.
We didn't talk much about what we did, but check out the Discord. Be a Patreon person. You can find out all about our fun trip in New York. But yeah, that's my plug for Death Becomes Her. It's a fun musical.
Oh, that was. We did have a good time.
We did. We had an excellent time. I'm hungover. I'm so hungover. And that's why I'm getting a little testy. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We'll wrap this up real quick. Join the Patreon if you want to communicate with me, or if you want to email me, you can email me at gwenfan329@aol.com.
An OG email.
We love it.
Yeah, we're bringing it back.
We love it. All right. And yeah, y'all can find me on the Patreon. So with that, y'all want to sing it together?
Oh.
Here we go.
Yeah,
One,
here we go.
2, 3.
You are my passion for life.